All right, it's Friday. Shake your tail feather.
In the morning when I'm driving, I really come alive when
I was doing a nest on y'all. I was going to do a 15-minute musical intro. Psych. Grand rising, everybody. What's going on? What's good? I hope you guys are ready for the weekend. What is it? What's that song? Hold on one second. What's that song? Oh, okay. I need a song for the weekend. Uh, what is the song that talks about the weekend? Anybody? Anybody? Any of you 14 people that are in here. It's 3 who are talking. So the rest of you in the cloud, the 11 in the clouds, I need a song that talks about the weekend. Bernice, Grand Rising, Bush Baby, Moaning, and Madison, Grand Rising to you all. Is that the one? Living for the weekend, 'cause that's when I party down, party, party, party down, party, 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 party down. Yeah, that is one. Okay, we're gonna be living for the weekend today. Okay, somebody just text me a message. I think that was either Jill's Comfort Zone or Dr. Soapy telling me to stop all that dang on singing, or I'ma leave, or T Danielle. That's another one who always is getting on me about my singing, and it could be respectfully M, because Grand Rising so Benz. Is that the song? Did I sing that song right? I think I did sing that song right. Now, so Benz, are you Ben Zone as well? Or you are different so Benz? Oh, I did sing it right. Thank you, so Benz. But are you Ben Zone? So Benz? Bernice, thank you for being a great supporter. I appreciate you. Oh, I didn't put up my goals. Goals, goals. I'm gonna put up my goals. You guys always know my goals are just real simple things. If you found something new in the show that you something that you can use, something that is new, something like, oh, I didn't know that. Oh, half of the time I'm asking y'all, I didn't even know a song about the weekend. I'm a weekend girl, and I don't have time on the weekday. Weekend girl. But maybe we can try to work it out. How about that? How about that? No other weekend songs? I think it's at the tip of my tongue. Hell no, I'm hetero. That's one way to put it. Okay. Well, hello, Sobians. Okay, so I guess that's all the weekend songs. If you guys come up with another one while I'm running my mouth, you, grand rising, Auntie Donna. It is so refreshing to see you. Thank you for being here, Auntie Donna. As always, I appreciate you. So, Auntie Donna, I was singing to my chat at weekend songs, and I did the OJ's, and I did SOS, the Weekend Girl. Do you know of any other song that talks about just got paid? It's Friday night, something something, feeling right. Moody shaking, booty shaking, all around. Something something, pump up the sounds. Feeling so good, don't you know? I'm just moving to the beat. I'm tired of all these parties. Why don't you get on down, down, down? Just got paid Friday night, parties humping, feeling right, booty shaking all around. Thank you, Bernice. Okay. Uh, Monday to Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, love. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, love. Does that count? You said play it. I don't think that counts. Saturday is on the weekend. Never on Sundays, Mondays too soon. Tuesday and Wednesday just won't do. Thursday and Fridays our weekend begin, but our Saturday love will never end. Sugar, sugar. I can't think of anything right now. I got to get my first cup of coffee down. And take some medicine too, Auntie Donna. The shows are a lot better, and my singing is a lot better if you take your medicine. If you know what I'm saying. Are you improving, Ronnie Q? No, I had to put myself on mute for a second to get at Rascal. I had to get at my dog Rascal. That's why there was a pause in between the Saturday Love song. Okay, so anybody have any good plan? Look at Auntie Donna's like, yeah, I know what you mean. She said, I ain't got enough medicine to make your singing sound good, girl. And I ain't mad at you, Auntie Donna. Okay, Another Saturday Night by Sam Cooke. I don't know that song. I don't know that one, baby, Bush Baby. Mm, nope, don't know that one at all. Even if I hear it, I'm not gonna know that one. Okay, so I guess that's it. Hmm. I think Maxwell has a song about the weekend with something about the weekend. Making me sound old. Let me Google it. I just may know it and just don't realize this was the song. I don't want to make you feel old. Another Saturday Night by Sam Cooke. Okay, I'm going to listen to it for a second. Hold on. Another Saturday night, and I ain't got nobody. I got some money because I just got paid. Now I wish I had someone to talk to. I'm in an awful way. I got in town a month ago. I seen a lot of girls since then. If I could meet them, I could get them. But as yet, I haven't met them. That's why I'm in the shape I'm in. I don't know that song. Here it is another Saturday night. I ain't got nobody. I got some money because I just got paid. I'm in an awful way. There you go. I did my best. It was a karaoke. It was a karaoke. Look at T. Daniel. See. No singing. Explanation point in red. T. Danielle, you know a song about the weekend that encompasses the weekend. I was just helping you guys get ready for the weekend. Go, Ronnie Q. Forget T. Danielle. I'm going. I am gonna go. Okay, so if anybody feel free to add a Saturday song if you want to. Now, let me. I want to know if you guys happen to see this. It just like really made me laugh. I was so glad to see this happen. I want to know, did you guys get a chance to see this yourselves? Let me find it. Okay. I'm going to share my screen with you and see if you guys got an opportunity to see this happen. You know that 45, 41, 45, 47 said that he is going to take over the Kennedy Center, and he will be like he is someone to take over the Kennedy Center. I can imagine what happens at the Kennedy Center is just going to be abysmal. Instead of appointing somebody who knows something about art, music, anything, he appointed himself to be over the Kennedy Center. And to that, I give a boo, just like J.D. Vance was booed at the Kennedy Center when he showed up. It seems like it's more people on the stage than there are in the seats. And they are the only ones who have a booth up there. I mean, it doesn't seem like they're attracting much patronage with 45, 47 being in charge. Boo! Everyone is dropping out of the Kennedy Center. He will be there alone. I did that one I did that one, T Danielle. Yeah, girl. So I thought that that was interesting to say the least. Now, um, didn't didn't they say that our workers were not smart enough to work for the muskrat, so therefore they had to use those H1 2 visas to get intelligent enough workers in the United States because we were not up to par to work at SpaceX and all of this, and we didn't have enough intelligent engineers in the United States. So you think they would be reassessing our education as opposed to shutting down the whole entire Department of Education, which supports many of our children to actually attend college. So let's talk about that. What do you guys think about the Department of Education being shuttered? Now, a lot of people don't know all things that the Department of Education do. The Department of Education, but let's keep it above. Our children have been failing, and our children as a whole have been doing far worse in reading, math, and arithmetic and sciences than other nations. So, do you think that it's going to have an effect as far as that? But we have to understand also that the Department of Education also is a. I- You know what? That's probably why they're disbanding um, the Department of Education because it also affirms and protects your rights under affirmative action, and it makes sure that no race, class, a person is being harassed or bullied. So we know that there's only one race of people that they care about. So why bother, ensuring and race, class of people? We know that they don't care for one particular class of people, and so they don't want the schools to turn into this either or. I go by her, I go by him. You can call me they. That's one of the other things that the Department of Education is has to do. Grand Rising, Mildred Ratchet, RN. So, do you think that that could be one of the reasons that they don't care about the? Let's let's take a look. Let me share my screen with you. Uh, Now, the title of my live is "Are You Hungry?" So that's another thing that the Department of Education is funded for giving free school lunch, and they expanded that during COVID to allow even kids who were homeschooled to be able to go and get lunch because they understand that a lot of unfortunately, a lot of children don't have steady meals at home. And the reason they give free school lunch is so that the children won't be hungry and so hungry that they can't pay attention in school. And some schools have started giving free breakfast. And some schools even continue to give free lunches because they understood that they were working in dis disfranchised communities that it would be helpful to keep these children fed, and this may be the only good meal that they got disenfranchised. So What do you guys say about that? Good morning, Kimberly Black, Grand Rising. I hope you guys hit the like button and please take the poll. So let's see here about what's going on with the free lunches at schools. Uh, the link to this is in the chat. I like him. If you like him as well, go over there and look at a couple of his videos. You may want to subscribe. Let's hear.
I am continuing on a daily basis to slowly but surely lose my mind because I keep seeing the worst possible things imaginable occur and people not make a big deal out of them. I mean, to be fair, that's why I have this show, right? I'm giving news and information in my opinion, but it's also a form of therapy. Like what I'm about to walk you through. How is everybody not screaming about this through a megaphone and losing their minds and flooding the streets and like ready for a revolution over this? So let me walk you through this. Let's start with this here. Here you have the Agriculture Secretary under Trump, Brooke Rollins. Here's what she says they're planning on doing now. Ready?
There's another thing here, right up your alley. USDA cancels $1 billion in local food purchasing for schools and food banks.
Canceling $1 billion in local food purchasing for schools and food banks. So and by the way, so the benefits are the students, the food banks, the people that go to the food bank, and also the farmers, the U.S. farmers, right? Everybody's getting screwed by cutting this. Let's keep going.
How do you justify that?
Well,
even Fox News does it. Really? That sounds kind of bad, bro.
Listen, I think it's really important. And of course, the left is doing what the left does. The
left is doing what the left does, namely telling the truth. The left is doing what the left does. They are concerned about things you should be concerned about.
Okay, what does any of this have to do with the answer to the question that he just asked you? The left ain't doing nothing. We asking you about the school, the money that you're cutting, but the left is doing what the left do. Yeah, but they're not cutting, making no cuts to school lunches. That's what the left is not doing, bitch. Let's continue.
By those dastardly leftists want to make sure that schools have food. Evil. Bah.
COVID era programs. These were additional funds. And then under Biden, more and more and more and more money. So just yesterday, we're canceling more contracts.
Okay. So they wanted to make sure this kids who had to stay home still got food. That's a bad thing. That's a bad thing. Okay. Under the Biden administration, it's just more and more and more. She was able to pinpoint COVID, but then what is more and more and more that she's talking about? Be specific, bitch. Be specific. So she wants to make you think that there were more programs and more programs and more programs. Which ones, ho? She's talking bullshit. It was the COVID lunch program that Biden added. And didn't COVID happen under 45, 47? So that means he didn't have the decency or the forethought to add it himself. So when Biden came in at the end of COVID, he added it. Let's continue.
Contracts on food justice for trans people in New York and San Francisco.
Oh my God.
Okay, food justice for trans people and people in New York. Now, what the fuck is she talking about? Just figure out a way to throw trans in there. Didn't I tell you there are certain people that they do not want to have any type of affirmative action. So we know that trans people is their buzzword. Let me go back a hair. Okay, let's go.
Trans people in New York and San Francisco.
Oh my God. They always have to.
Trans people are only in New York and San Francisco. But why don't you just just carve out New York and San Francisco in your cuts and let the rest of the nation eat, if that's what the only place trans people are that you don't want to make sure eat. Let's continue.
to find a way, don't they? They always have to find a way to be like, the fucking trans people, bro. It's all their fault, bro. By the way, just so we're clear, anytime you hear claims like this, if you dig on it and do some research, you find out they're either lying about it or totally misstating it. It happened all the time. I mean, how many times during the USA saga were they like, we're giving $17 quadrillion to Moroccan belly dancers, bro? And then you look it up and it's like, well, that's not true. It's like Trump when he said they spent, I forget the amount of.
It was 50 million on condoms in Gaza, and then they started using them to make bombs, and then he changed it to $100 million in Gaza for condoms. That's what it was.
The amount of money, but let's say $1 billion making mice transgender.
The mice transgendered. I had the clip for that. It wasn't. You remember when he addressed Congress, he said that they were spending $50 million to make mice transgendered. I'm gonna pull up the clip. He's gonna tell you, but
he made the mice.
Okay. No. I'm not gonna let him tell you. Okay, you guys remember him saying that? If you want to see the rest of this, let me see. I'm gonna skip over him. Let me see if he goes back to this batty bitch. Okay. Let's see.
Right? So, oh God, I hate these people so much. Holy shit.
Obviously, that's different than the food programs in the schools, but it is really important. We spend billions and billions and billions of dollars on nutrition programs for lower income and socioeconomically disadvantaged kids. But the Biden administration used that to often push money out, taxpayer dollars out, that is not reaching its intended target. So that new program that came in the last few years, again, trying to spend more and more money, we're pulling that back. As we have always said, if we are making mistakes, we will own those mistakes and we will reconfigure. But right.
That's a lie. That's a lie. It's like when Elon said, oh, we accidentally cut off the Ebola funding, which, by the way, that'd be quite an accident, don't you say? But he lied. They actually didn't put the funding back in place. He just lied.
That program was non-essential, that it was a new program, and that it was an effort by the left to continue spending taxpayer dollars that were not necessary.
So in other words, yeah, we cut it off, but I don't know, COVID something. It started during COVID, so now it's illegitimate. And Biden bad. So yeah, that's... Guys, they're not even trying. They're not, because how can you actually defend this? Cutting off $1 billion that went to schools and food banks. She was like, well, hey, it started during COVID. Yeah, a lot of the free school breakfast and free school lunch programs started during COVID. And the intelligent states who actually give a shit about the citizens said, let's keep this in place. People seem to like it, and our kids are not going hungry. Oh, my God. So, look, this is just the beginning, though, because why is she actually doing this? Why is Trump actually doing this? Because it's their goal to destroy, eventually, all of the free school breakfast and free school lunch programs. In fact, there was an article about this from 2024, almost exactly a year ago today. House Republicans want to ban universal free school lunches. The Republican Study Committee's annual budget also calls to permanently defund UNRWA and eliminate the National Labor Relations Board, which, by the way, Elon's working on that one too, just like he destroyed this.
No comments? Is anybody here? Y'all don't have no comments on that shit? Okay. I don't have any children, but I fear for the future of our children. I really fear for the future of our children. Now let's talk about, it was $8 million, he said, that was being spent on transgender mice. Y'all don't remember him saying that when he did his big address? No, maybe not. Is anybody home? Okay, let me show you this about the transgendered mice that he was talking about. Okay. Oh, I may have to cover this screen because it's somebody I don't know. So I don't want to get a strike. Let me do this. Oh, that's not the one I wanted. That's the one I wanted. Okay, let's hear about the transgendered mice.
To protest against the Trump administration's indiscriminate cuts to science in all ways. You can see some of the signs here: fight for science, defend the NIH, defunding research is a recession plan. That's actually quite true. Here's a good one. Quote, budget cuts create all kinds of trouble. I had to look that up. Alkynes, ALKYNES, alkynes are organic molecules made of the functional group carbon-carbon triple bonds. They are unsaturated hydrocarbons. And budget cuts create all kinds of trouble. Here's another good one in Pittsburgh. Got polio? No? Thanks, science. And you see where it says it's a Berg thing and the Salk vaccine there. The University of Pittsburgh is where Jonas Salk developed the polio vaccine.
Oh, this is the one.
Across the state of Pennsylvania, outside City Hall in Philadelphia. Look at this. This was this is impressive. This was the Stand Up for Science crowd outside Philly City Hall today. That's a big, look at that. That's a really big protest. Some good signs at the Philly protest as well. Your policy, defund the NIH, has been rejected by peer review. This is a good one. I feel like this one is special for Susan's birthday today. She loves Beaker from the Muppets. Susan, this happened in Philly today. This is the only orange Muppet I trust to tell me about science. Me. A version of this sign we saw a few different places today. I love Boston as well. Stand Up for said he was there and he thought the crowd was even larger. Senator Dick Durbin and doesn't pass peer review. Seeing just essentially local and independent protests pop up. Protests out in Trenton, New Jersey yesterday.
This is our staffing nationwide.
Today at local news reports about brand new little grassroots groups springing up and doing. They're trying to say that none of these protests are real American. It's questions about whether.
I think they concentrate on the. Well, that was last seen.
Okay, I got the wrong thing. I guess I got to go back to Kyle to tell you what the transgender mice is when they put cells in the mice to make their these cells react like human cells. So therefore, when they do tests on the mice, it will get the results that it would have in humans. That's what, it's not transgender mice. What is this trans? It is called trans. What are they called? Not transgender. They are called transgenic mice. That's what it's called. Transgenic.
Only
mice.
orange Muppet I trust to tell me about science. Me. A version of this sign we.
Okay. Okay, maybe this is one I will share with you. Rachel explaining it. Let me present this again. Okay, so. Okay, here we go.
I saw the numbers. It was the least watched Trump State of the Union or joint speech to Congress of all the ones he's given. So I know you didn't watch. But one of the things he said in his speech was that one of the terrible liberal things that his top campaign donor had discovered was happening in government was research to make mice transgender. And he said that in his speech, and all the Republicans gasped and laughed and jeered because that was so terrible. Actually, it's transgenic mice. And transgenic mice are used in all kinds of laboratory research because mice are transgenic
when they have been genetically altered so you can study human illnesses and conditions in them, even though they're mice. It is transgenic mice, you numbskulls. But sure, go ahead and shut down all the labs studying all the diseases, because what are you, 5? This was Boston. There were big crowds today.
Okay, so that's what I wanted to share with you guys. Did y'all hear that? Yeah, you heard that. Okay. Thank you. Okay, so that's what I wanted to share with you guys today. Grand Rising, Nini Go, Jay Paris, Grand Rising. You guys did hear that, right? About the transgenic mice. So he was talking about this is something that he cut as he held up that little child who has survived a cancer, brain cancer. And he's cutting cancer research for children, but he's using a child who has had brain cancer as a prop. We talked about that. So, Grand Rising Black Pearl, did you guys take the quiz? That's why I was asking, do you guys think that you can answer in the chat? I would appreciate it. Okay, so when we first started, this was all the things that yes, typical 47 nonsensical words. He said transgender, but it was transgenic mice. They spent $8 million on transgenic mice. But you say trans, and the right would be like, yes, cut it. Yes, cut it. So I just played a clip where they asked the woman who was, what was she over? It wasn't Linda McMahon. She wasn't over the Department of Education. They asked about the $1 billion cuts that they were making in education, and she, for some reason, she did what they always do. She blamed it on and cutting school lunches, and she threw Biden in there, his policies of extending it during COVID and all the other things that he did to expand it. But she couldn't enunciate all these other things, but she just wanted you to know that it was Biden's fault. And we're just taking back from how Biden messed up. But yeah, so okay. But and then she threw trans in there. So that's how I got on that. So my question was, once again, yes, we heard it, but you still have up the copyright disclaimer. I've taken it down now, Auntie Donna. Thank you. Now, so this was where we first started. I think this was like the first 3 days. This is how this flyer came up. It had these check marks on it like this. But if you look closely, things have changed on this banner. I had to go through and check off other things in the red that have been accomplished. And now they keep on saying that this is the first 50-something days. I don't even think he had 50 days in office as of yet. Let me see. He has not had 50 days. Let me see. Let me see how many days he's had in office. What's today? The 14th? Okay. He's had 53 days in office. So all of these things. So my question is, all the red things, these are things that he has done since those first 3 days. So do you think that it is his mission to introduce Project 2025 to the nation? Do you think that this is his policy? I mean, because we did not hear a policy when he was running. Let's be clear. We heard no policy when he was running. And then, like they say, the last 3 days or the last week, he would just go out to his little rallies and do that little old shuffle to the YMCA. Come on, let's dance. I want to dance. No policy, no nothing. Just grievances. That's what we heard at these rallies when he was running. No answers? No, nobody's answering. No answers. Anybody? Okay, so I'll just keep going as if you guys answered. Okay, it must be a good delay. Nini the Ghost says he started it in 2016 and now he's back to pick up where he left off. Yes, exactly. So, I was talking about the cuts to the Department of Education, and I have a little something up about exactly what the Department of Education does and what impact it has. Oh, that's the wrong one. We already saw that one. What impact the Department of Education have on the student? Let me share my screen. Here we go. This is for educational purposes only. Okay. I think I'm going to start right here. This is opposition to the Department of Education. What the Education Department does, a different vision for education, K through 12 education, impact on student loans. So all of this we're about to go through. Maybe not all of it, a little of it.
One of the department's biggest responsibilities is dispersing federal student loans and managing loan forgiveness programs.
The U.S. Department of Education, in a lot of ways, it operates like a bank. If you're looking at a full portfolio of loans and all the money that flows through the department, it is quite large. If you're looking in terms of what is the size of the department staff, it's about 4,400 employees. It's small relative to other agencies in the federal government. So it has kind of a small staffing footprint.
More than $114 billion of the $229 billion that passes through the department goes toward the federal direct student loan program.
Now, so you see what type of money is going through the student loan, the Department of Education. So is somebody looking at that money that has been allocated for Pell Grants and all of this and saying, hey, why give a broke student this money? Why can't they take these black jobs that we freeing up from these illegals that we are throwing out the country? Do you think that that's what he meant by black jobs, by preventing certain people, disenfranchised people, from being able to go to college? Because that is what Pell Grants do, even if it's just a community college. I want to know.
Program, according to usaspending.gov. The department is also responsible for issuing Pell Grants, which are usually granted to undergraduate students on a needs basis and typically do not have to be repaid. It also manages Title I funds, a federal aid program for K through 12 schools serving low-income students. In the fiscal year 2024, Congress allocated $18.4 billion to the program.
It is a program that...
Okay, $18.4 billion for the Title I program for disenfranchised. Why should we spend that amount of money on disenfranchised students? And just because they're poor, that means that they just can't learn. So why spend money on them? It's not like they can learn. They're poor. Poor people can't learn. Is that what? I don't know. Is that what that means? Surely they can spend that money somewhere else. Let's continue. And let me tell you, this is a this is a whole big setup to reshape the United States. To reshape the United States. This is a class warfare. This is what this is. Class warfare. Warfare. If you are going to stay in the situation that you were born in. Now we know so many people who have thrived above and beyond the station in life of which they were born. We know that they refuse to open their colleges to free slaves. That is the reason why we have HBCUs. We know that. We are sure of that. So let's cut out the ability for these poor people to pay to go to school. Let's block this off in every way I can. That's y'all ain't got nothing to say.
Provides funds particularly to students who live in concentrated poverty. And part of the reason for that is that if we were to have education systems that relied purely on local and state funding, you would see these kind of vast inequalities in how much funding is available to schools. And so the federal government plays this role of kind of offsetting that.
The individual.
Oh, so they if you take it back to the states, then the federal government will not be offsetting that, because the states are going to have to pay for FEMA and all this other stuff that they're taking back to the states. Do you think that they're going to have the money to spend on poor people, especially in these red states? Is that the plan? Is that why they're taking the Department of Education out of the federal hands?
Purely
Hold on.
On local and state funding, you would see these kind of vast inequalities in how much funding is available to schools. And so the federal government plays this role of kind of offsetting that.
The Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, or IDEA, is a federal law that ensures services to children with disabilities and provides funding to states for additional services. Congress funded IDEA to the tune of $15.4 billion.
Okay, $15.4 billion to educate students, children who have disabilities. But do they respect disabilities? They don't respect disabilities when you are disabled from going over and fighting in their wars. So who are getting who work? They say that the largest employer of disabled veterans is the federal government. And they have made places for them to make sure that they can accommodate them. And it is also a large swath of the people who are being fired under 4547's administration. Catch. So they don't care about you getting disabled going over to fight their useless wars. But let's continue.
Dollars in 2024. But the department's job goes beyond managing money.
The Department of Education, not the Department of Justice, is the one who deal with ensuring that kids have equal access to schools.
The Department of Education's Office for Civil Rights, or OCR, is responsible for ensuring that students are not subjected to discrimination.
I'm sorry, I said affirmative action. It's civil rights. I apologize.
Fields complaints, oversees compliance reviews, and works with schools to develop and implement corrective actions to bring them into compliance. The OCR was given.
So how many news stories have you heard about Black children being called the N-word and all of this stuff, and nothing has ever happened? The school hasn't done anything until there's a big outlash, a big outcry, and then they'll send a note home and nothing will happen to the students. There was a white student who knocked a Black girl unconscious. He wasn't even suspended from school until there was an outcry there. That is, I saw that, I think, on Dr. Rashad Rishi's show. He has a whole lot of the school incidents where the principals and the district never intervenes when it's an issue with a Black student being bullied. So this is what the Department of Education is supposed to be doing. So they're okay. Let's continue.
Given $140 million.
Oh, but because they had a protest to support the Palestinians at Columbia University, they want to say that they were harassing Jewish adult students. And they have arrested this man, but they cannot enunciate how he was supporting Hamas. But they tell you that he is supporting Hamas. But there was a conversation with Don Lemon yesterday with this an attorney who just kept trying to insist that he was harassing these people. And he was like, well, what do you mean? No, nobody presented anything about him. I can see if he was going up there and saying harassing things and all of this type of stuff, but that's not been, that hasn't even been presented or said. So let's keep it clear. But your children can be harassed. So it's a pick and choose type of situation. They don't give a fuck if you're adult, a child, just season up, buttercup, because you're in for this for the rest of your life. So why bother with you when you're a child? Because we got a lifelong lesson for you in discrimination and racism. That's what I think. Let me finish this.
Dollars in 2024 by Congress. But ultimately, it's the White House that gets to decide what the OCR prioritizes.
When somebody says we're going to strip it all away and just give it to the states, then how do you protect poor kids? The implementers, the ones who actually get that check to somebody, they become more important than the pontificators, because that's what makes it real.
Title IX is a high-profile federal law that the Department of Education is responsible for enforcing. It prohibits discrimination on the basis of sex in any education program or activity that receives federal financial assistance.
When it comes to something like the regulations that relate to Title IX, the Trump administration can do a lot unilaterally in that space, and I think they very likely will. The Biden administration has tried to expand our understanding of sex-based discrimination to also include discrimination based on sexual orientation and gender identity.
So you know that can't stand under Trump's administration. So every child has to suffer. Let's continue.
And I think it's basically a foregone conclusion that the Trump administration will revert back to the prior understanding there.
While eliminating the Department of Education has been a talking point for President-elect Trump, it would take an act of Congress to make it happen.
When you hear House Majority Leader Steve Scalise talk about the first 100 days under the Trump administration, you hear a lot of things about border security, about immigration, about energy. You don't hear a lot about eliminating the Education Department.
In Trump's first term, there was not a lot of appetite among Republicans for cutting spending for IDEA or for Title I or for Pell Grants. So if you're a low-income student or you're a family of a child with special needs, I think the idea that there's going to be substantial cuts to those programs is pretty unlikely.
I know a soundbite when I see it. The real issue is how are you going to help kids? And if you make this a mess, you're not helping kids. They are trying to shift what was created in America by the New Deal. They want winners and losers.
Abolishing
They want winners and losers. They want, like I said, they want you to stay in the station of life you were
Department of
born.
Education appears to be only one aspect of the broader reforms outlined in Project 2025, a collection of policy plans developed by conservative think tank the Heritage Foundation in collaboration with more than 100 other right-leaning organizations.
It is important to acknowledge that Project 2025, it's not clear how the Trump administration will feel about that document. And there are some indications.
It's clear now. It's real clear now. Are we clear on how they feel about Project 2025? Yeah, we're clear now. If you weren't clear before, we are clear now. Okay, I'm going to skip forward. Wait a minute.
That Trump just isn't all that interested in education in the first place. So with that caveat, though, we really genuinely don't know how seriously they're going to take this.
Trump distanced himself from the document while he was campaigning, but has been taking suggestions for potential hires from the personnel database created by Project 2025 during his transition into the White House.
Project 2025 basically frames a discussion of big changes in federal education policy around the idea that American schools are underperforming. There's a kind of culture war piece to this that has a lot to do with gender and sexuality and race. And then there are some potentially big structural changes when it comes to the federal role in education.
Now, he said it all. That's the general, that's the consensus of why it's all in Project 25. And they center it around race, gender identity, and they want to bring this nation back under some type of Christian control. They little children don't have special needs. Yes, they definitely have special needs. And so they wait until they understand how, the vast amount of people in the United States are against closing down the Department of Education. But he definitely said he was going to do that on his campaign trail. I want to close down the Department of Education. And I'm hearing that like, what the fuck? What is he talking about? And they voted for him. Yes, they voted for him. And now they're all up in arms with bubble guts. I think this is the last section I'm gonna play, and the link is in the description box. Go check out this video. It explains thoroughly what the Department of Education does and does not do. I just wanted to let you see how coordinated all of what he's doing is straight down the line, coming from the Project 2025.
Please
hold on.
Sign the petition.
Experts say another one of the structural changes that Project 2025 suggests could be reducing the number of requirements attached to the funding provided to disabled students through IDEA.
This is what wonks tend to call block granting, giving the money to states or school districts with more freedom to spend it. And you could do that with a lot fewer bureaucrats, but somebody would do it. And if there weren't a Department of Education, presumably they would be attached to some other federal entity, whether that was Department of Labor or Department of Health and Human Services.
The problem with that, in my view, is that those strings that are attached actually really matter, because it's the strings that are attached that help to ensure that the funds are getting to the students with disabilities and getting them the services they need and ensuring that they have the opportunities that they should have.
Project 2025 also proposes block grants for federal funds to low-income students that are allocated through Title I. Under the plan, the block grants would be available for a 10-year period, after which the federal role would be phased out entirely, leaving the states to decide whether to provide that funding to schools.
One lesson we've had from what a lot of states have done when they've had more of that kind of flexibility is that we've seen that some states just don't fund that kind of thing. And so if
we see states just don't fund those types of things right now. Okay.
we actually were to eliminate Title I funding, it would be really problematic for a lot of students across the country.
Superintendents, school principals, school boards are accountable to their communities. People can see what schools are doing. People can choose to vote in school board elections. Superintendents can be replaced. When federal officials, whether in Congress or the Department of Education, are trying to write rules for schools, they're trying to write rules for 14,000 school districts that encompass about 100,000 schools in 50 states. That is a huge ask of anybody, given the variability. And so what you wind up with is lots of rules that have to be exquisitely interpreted, and it winds up making life really difficult for lots of teachers and principals working in classrooms.
I think a lot of us are a bit in wait and see mode because we honestly don't know how much of this Trump is going to want to adopt and how high of a priority is, when I think a lot of...
now we see. So I just wanted to share a little bit of that. If you want to see all of it, it's quite interesting. Okay, Auntie Donna, I got it. I got it. Is it freezing? No, I had gone on mute. Some videos put you on mute when you play them, some don't. And then I realized I had to check it, and I'm not on mute. So the link for that is in the chat. There is so we talked about the schools. We talked about quite a bit about the schools. Okay, so this is what something else I want to talk about today. Hold on one second. Okay, let me see. There's something else. Is there something else about the school? I don't know what this is. Okay. Here we go. Let me show you this. Let me show you what's in Project 2025 about the Department of Education. This is what I definitely want you to hear. Exactly what was written in Project 2025. Okay, here we go. Let me make sure it's sharing. Yes, it is. Okay, let's go. Let me speed him up a little bit. Not too much. Just a little bit. Just a little bit, baby. A little bit, baby. Okay, let's go.
Read and explain Project 2025, the far-right Christian nationalist pet plan.
Is that too fast? If that's too fast, let me know.
For the next Republican presidency. And today we're looking at Chapter 11, which is the Department of Education. Now, the first proposal in here is simple enough. This is from the first sentence of the chapter, where it says, ultimately, the federal Department of Education should be eliminated. But of course, it's not so simple. The chapter goes on to outline a long list of radical action to reshape this country's education system from top to bottom. That list includes dismantle the Department of Education, end the Head Start program for young children in poverty, end the Title I funding for schools serving low-income children, rescind federal civil rights protections for LGBTQ plus students, undercut federal capacity to enforce civil rights law, reduce federal funding for students with disabilities, and remove guardrails designed to ensure that these children are adequately served by schools, privatize the federal student loan portfolio and end student loan forgiveness, and promote universal private school choice. Let's talk about that last one, what they mean by universal private school choice. What it means is that vouchers designed to help families pay for private school if they don't want their kids in public school. On the very first page of the chapter on education, the author calls out Arizona's school choice voucher model as the model for the rest of the country to follow. So let's take a look at that Arizona voucher program. The state promised families in the program an average of $7,000 a year to spend on the private school of their choosing or other non-public options, which include homeschooling, tutoring, or charter schools. But the Arizona Center for Investigative Reporting found that roughly 60% of vouchers were going to students whose families were already paying for private school education, meaning that taxpayer dollars are actually subsidizing private school education for families that can already afford it while siphoning money out of the public school system. Quote, Arizona has taken hundreds of millions in new spending for kids who were already attending private schools, a trend that contributed to a $1 billion plus budget deficit this year. Plus, a recent analysis by the Hechinger Report found that of the Arizona schools that posted their tuition rates publicly, nearly all of them raised their tuition the same year that those vouchers became available, making the schools far more expensive than what's actually covered by the vouchers. That means that many low-income families were left with thousands of dollars in tuition that they suddenly had to cover themselves with no notice. So-called school choice programs also appear to disproportionately benefit religious schools. What a shock, right? According to the Washington Post, an analysis of voucher programs, 87% of Arizona's voucher money went to religious schools, while Arizona...
Okay, so the rich people who can afford to pay to go to these schools are getting vouchers as well, which leaves less money to go to the people who can't afford to go to these schools themselves on the hook. So it sounds like, you know how in Africa, some kids go to school and some kids don't, in these third world countries where some kids don't go to school because why? Because it costs to go to school. They have to pay to go to school. They have to pay for the uniforms. They have to pay for the books. Is this what we're turning into, a third world country? Far be it from them to allow people who have the means to pay after they shut down the Department of Education to be equal to the people who can't afford to pay.
Arizona has the nation's most expansive voucher program. 10 other states have similar programs. 17 more states have smaller voucher systems. The same Washington Post analysis found that in those 28 states that provide public funding for private school vouchers, the vast majority of the money ends up going to religious schools. What a shocker, which translates to billions of dollars in public education funding being lost. In some states, as much as 98% of voucher funding goes to religious schools. So to recap, Arizona gave students in the school choice program roughly $7,000 each, made up of funding that used to go to public schools, in order to allow them to choose their own non-public option. But the voucher doesn't cover the full amount of tuition at those schools, so families who already pay for tuition get a tuition break, while families who can't pay the tuition are forced back into public schools, where they're now receiving even fewer resources. Plus, students with special needs are no longer guaranteed spots because non-public schools don't have to admit them. Beyond privatizing schools and eliminating most of the protections for disadvantaged students, Project 2025 also seeks to take on the so-called woke agenda in education. Woke is all through this document, by the way, even though regular people don't use that expression. As Heritage Foundation President Kevin Roberts puts so clearly in his foreword, quote, "The noxious tenets of critical race theory and gender ideology should be excised from curricula in every public school in the country," end quote.
Means that there would not be the actual history of this country taught, a critical race theory, because they don't want to feel guilty about the facts of this country's actual history. Let's continue. That's what this critical race theory, it is the facts of the nation. They want to rewrite history. Okay. Let me see. Hey, Detach Myself, the Caucasian that voted for 4547 are going to know what it feels like to be hoodwinked and bamboozled when it's all said and done. Great question. Grand Rising, Miss Queenie. So the remainder, let me go a little bit further on this thought about ideology, critical race theory, and wokeism.
As ever, Project 2025 clearly seeks to increase rights and access for certain people while removing protections for other people. The chapter on education specifically calls to eliminate protections for trans and non-binary students, maintaining the far-right trend of attacking transgender people. It also recommends putting the Department of Education's Office of Civil Rights, which was established under the Civil Rights Act in order to ensure that schools and programs that receive federal funding comply with civil rights laws, under the control of the Department of Justice. But you may recall from our earlier reporting on Project 2025 that it wants to put the DOJ under more direct presidential control, which means that under Project 2025, the Office of Civil Rights in the Education Department would likely fall under direct presidential influence. So yes.
And we know what that influence has been thus far. We do know that he has a do-girl in Pam Bundy over the Department of Education. So I just wanted to talk about what's all going to be lost in this closing down of the Department of Education. Hey, Jill's Comfort Zone. If I didn't speak, Miss Queenie, did I speak? Grand Rising. A real horror. Yes, a real horror. So I just wanted to give you guys a little. All of the links that I played are in my description box. Please avail yourself to them and check out the content on these channels. Especially, I'll tell you, you guys know MSNBC. Yes, it is going to be a horror, but these other channels, they do great work. Now, let me see what else I wanted to talk about today. There's something else. Oh, let's delve in. Okay, so now listen, Chuck Schumer. Chuck Schumer really needs to go somewhere. I'm sick of Chuck Schumer. Chuck Schumer is fucking shit up. Chuck Schumer is really messing shit up. Let me see. What is this? Where can I work? Hold on 1 second. Let me see what this is. Oh, did you guys hear about the court rulings on yesterday? I want to talk about that. I definitely want to talk about that. There were 2 court rulings, one in California and one, I can't remember. I think it was in Maryland. Let's check out good morning, Sandy. These court rulings said. Now, this falls into my question about waste, fraud, and abuse. So, are we going to continue to have Musk and his muskrat running rampant over our government, seizing up all our personal data to do God know what with? To set up some algorithm for something to make the muskrat even more rich? So, or are we going to admit that he's a abject failure? And we're going to go dive a little more into some of his failures. Are we going to pretend like he can continue to get government contracts when he's trying to take everything from people who have nothing? Let's see what the muskrat did that got overturned in court, and I'm sure it's going to be appealed to the state's Supreme Courts, and then if they don't get what they want, I'm sure it's going to be appealed to the United States Supreme Court. But the United States Supreme Court, who gave 45-47 all of this power, has ruled against him. So let's see what happened.
It is doing with its man. Meanwhile, here's how the Trump administration is doing with its management of the federal government. Just in today's news, this is from the Washington Post. Quote, last week, amid the scramble inside federal agencies to meet Trump's return to office mandate, one CDC employee received links to a new government-wide initiative promising to connect those who need workspace with those who have extra seats. When the CDC employee...
Hold on. This is the wrong clip. This is the clip. Remember, they ordered all federal workers to go back to work. So a lot of the offices had to been shut down because it was a work from home situation, and there's no place for them to physically go back to work. So I wonder who set up this program that allows them to just log on to this program, and it'll tell you where you can go back to work physically in your job. Now, listen to some of the places that they have told these people to show up to. We can't allow you to work from home anymore. Show up here. We not show up to your old office where you used to work. Algorithm. Let's see what this algorithm. And I wonder who created this algorithm. Let's continue. Let me go back a little bit. I set this up wrong.
The office mandate, one CDC employee received links from the Washington Post. Quote, last week, amid the scramble inside federal agencies to meet Trump's return to office mandate, one CDC employee received links to a new government-wide initiative promising to connect those who need workspace with those who have extra seats. When the CDC employee entered her home address to find nearby offices, she was surprised to receive suggestions for a closed Subway sandwich shop and a self-storage facility. Another member of her CDC team was directed to a post office. So they work at the CDC. They were told to report for work. The Trump administration told them to report for work at a post office or a closed Subway sandwich shop or a mini storage. CDC employees. Sure, try it. See how it goes. Quote, another worker from a federal scientific agency was asked by an administrator to fill out a similar space request form, part of a Trump administration rollout of such services, including one they're calling Space Match, aimed at connecting federal employees with offices where they could work. When the federal scientific agency worker entered her information, the two closest offices to which she was recommended did not seem to be federal offices at all. Quote, one appeared to be a building in an industrial zone that appeared to host support groups for people dealing with alcohol or debt problems. The other appeared to be a private home in a 4-unit building. So this is a person who has a job at a...
So you can't work from your home, but the app gives you someone else's private home to work at. Okay. So who made this app? I want to know if the Muskrat made this app to force people to come into work because they can't trust you, poor regular people, to work from home. Meanwhile, he can't do no work at motherfucking Tesla, and the stock is in the toilet because he's too busy to micromanaging people, and he don't even know what their motherfucking job is. Firing people who he has to hire back because they have critical jobs that he just unilaterally decided to fire them from. Let's continue.
At a federal scientific agency, Donald Trump has a new high-tech tool, a fancy new website that is assigned to this person, a new place to work. And the new place to work, this person has a choice, can either be a rehab or the house of someone who this person doesn't know. Space Match. I bet it has an X in it somewhere. Space Match. These guys are so tech savvy, right? They're so...
Does that sound like a Musk app? Space Match. So I think it's a little obvious whose app this is. That's sending them to closed Subway sandwich places to find workspace, other people's personal homes, as opposed to working from home themselves because they can't trust. Okay, I said that.
Efficient. You know, taxes are due in a month. Taxes are due April 15th. This week, Donald Trump, in his infinite wisdom, told people who work at the IRS that they should show up to work at buildings for which there are no desks for them. Quote, they have people in conference rooms, cafeterias, and even some closets. A Q&A handout was given to IRS employees. It included this question: how should I store my laptop and accessories at the end of the day if I don't have a permanent desk? The answer, quote, employees should secure their laptops and equipment in secure locations, such as via cable lock to a designated storage area, locker, or permanent furniture fixture. This is what they're telling IRS to do. Buy a cable lock, like for your bike, and then like lock your laptop to a credenza. Or maybe you can find a really heavy potted plant. See if you can find a pillar. And then you can lock your laptop to that. All your stuff, you just lock your stuff to that. Hopefully everything's got like hooks. That's how Donald Trump is running the IRS, the agency that collects all the funds that run the federal government. That's how he's running the agency that is supposed to process hundreds of millions of tax returns that are due in 1 month. Do you think you're going to get your refund this year? We are keeping a close eye tonight on what is going on at the IRS. Even with all the probationary employees ordered reinstated today, the Washington Post broke the news today that Trump intends now to fire another 18,000 people from the IRS. He wants them gone by May 15th. There also appears to be a lot of concern about one particular firing that just happened there. They just fired the top lawyer at the IRS. That is reportedly ringing some major alarm bells by people who know how that agency works. So we will be keeping eyes on the IRS.
18,000 more people. Okay, so let me see if this changes over. Okay, that doesn't change over. Now, this is the one that I wanted to show you about the judgment the judgments that were handed down about all of those firings that the Muskrat did that turned out to be illegal. And
all right, update.
Federal judge ordered Trump to rehire thousands of fired probationary workers.
As we reported at the top of the show, federal judge in California today issued a blistering ruling from the bench in which he ordered the Trump administration to rehire thousands of people they had fired from the federal government at USDA, Defense Department, Energy Department, Department of the Interior, the Treasury, and the VA. Well, I got two updates for you. Because tonight, just as we were coming on the air, the plaintiffs in that case, the California federal case, the plaintiffs are the union representing government workers. Plaintiffs went back to that same judge in California and essentially said, thank you for this ruling today, Your Honor. Can you please make it so it applies to even more agencies? They have now formally asked the judge to expand that order today to also order the reinstatement of fired employees at the Commerce Department, Education Department, Health and Human Services, Homeland Security, Housing and Urban Development, the Justice Department, Department of Transportation, the EPA, NASA, the National Science Foundation, and the Small Business Administration. Update 1. Here's update 2. Just minutes after those plaintiffs asked the California federal judge to expand his ruling and order even more agencies to rehire even more people, a second federal judge across the country in Maryland issued a ruling in an entirely separate case, ordering the federal government also to rehire thousands of fired federal employees. This federal judge in Maryland tonight has just ordered that thousands of fired probationary employees must now be reinstated at, ready for the list, Department of Agriculture, Department of Commerce, Department of Defense, Department of Education, Department of Energy, Health and Human Services, Homeland Security, Housing and Urban Development, Department of the Interior, Department of Labor, Department of Transportation, the Treasury Department, VA, USAID, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, the EPA, the FDIC, the General Services Administration, the Office of Personnel Management, the Small Business Administration, and the National Archives and Records Administration. All of them. Reinstate all of.
I really hope they add the IRS on there, since they plan to fire 18,000 more people by May 15th. Better throw them in there as well, if she hadn't already said them.
All of your fired probationary employees. And if it seems like there's overlap between the list in those two cases, you are correct. As of tonight, just in today's news, we've got overlapping federal rulings ordering the immediate reinstatement of thousands of employees at multiple federal agencies. I'll tell you, the Maryland judge writes in this new order that's just out tonight, quote, the law is clear that when dismissing an employee due to unsatisfactory performance, the employer must honestly be dissatisfied with the probationer's conduct or performance after giving him a fair trial on the job. So again, two federal judges tonight with equally sweeping rulings, both in the same direction, both telling Trump, when you fired those people, you had no right to give them back their jobs. Watch this space.
Okay, that's it for that one. I thought that you guys should know that. Now let's get to Chuck Schumer. Let's get to Chuck Schumer. They are saying, he's a senator. Hold on. Hold on one second. Oh my. We have breaking news. we have breaking news. This came on after that Rachel Maddow thing. Before we get to Chuck Schumer, let's listen to this breaking news. My goodness, how timely. Okay. More airport drama. More FAA.
A Dallas-bound American Airlines flight bursts into flames seconds after making an emergency landing there in Denver. Watch this.
Charlie 48, engine fire, copy. And Charlie 48, fire personnel is responding.
So the flight was from Colorado Springs. It landed in Denver after the crew diverted, reporting, quote, engine vibrations to air traffic control. All 172 passengers on board, they were forced to evacuate via slides onto even onto the wing as smoke billowed out of the aircraft. You can see, we're going to show you can see right here some of the moments. I mean, look, this is right at Denver's International Airport. People going out on the wing and crews coming to help, thankfully. As you can see, smoke around them, rushing in, crews right there to help put out the flames. This morning, the FAA investigating, and the aviation industry is just facing yet another unsettling close call scenario for air travelers. Joining me right now is CNN transportation analyst, former inspector general for the Department of Transportation, Mary Schiavo. Mary, thank you so much.
Okay, so I will drop this link in the chat, and I'll add it to my list of videos that I played for you. Okay, so let's talk about Chuck. He's a senator, and it is so bad that he wants to vote. Now we know this this bill that has come up, this budget deal that has come up. That it was passed by the Congress. Then it goes to the Senate to pass, and the Senate said that they weren't going to pass the bill. But who's the minority leader of the Democrats in the Senate? Chuck Schumer, and he comes out yesterday and says he's going to pass it, and because it's procedure, and if he doesn't pass the bill, that 45 and 47 is going to be able to cut whatever he wants to cut. He's going to sign a bill that says, what is it? Let's listen. I forgot. What is it? That Congress for the rest of the year can't do something. Oh, I forget what it is. Let me share the screen. Okay. Let's see what Schumer, his excuse for signing this. Okay.
Elon Musk and Donald Trump's terms. Trump's budget director, and this is key, is already reportedly preparing to ignore the spending appropriated in the bill. Some Democrats have said they will not support the plan, even if it means a government shutdown. But Senate Democratic.
So Russ Vought says he's already going to ignore what's in the Senate bill. Are we clear? Whatever is in the bill. Russ Vought said he's going to ignore it. Remember Russell Vought? I showed you his confirmation, and they were asking him, would he fund this and that? And he said it would depend upon what the administration wanted, as opposed to what Congress had approved. So let's be clear. He already let them know, but they chose him anyway as the Office of Management and Budgets. OMB. Russ Vought already said he don't give a fuck what's in this motherfucking bill to keep the government open. Now they have until today to get this done. They don't have enough votes to get this done, and I think they said they need 8 Democratic votes. So the leader of the Democrat Party said he's going to vote for it. I think that that's why I highlighted a comment. I forgot who said it earlier. They need to get term limits. If you no longer have the will or the wherewithal to fight back? How come they don't take a look at how they are treated when they have the House and the Senate by the Republicans? The Republicans know how to stand together, but you got this weak ass leader. I don't know when he got this weak, but he's weak. So let's let him tell you.
Democratic leader Chuck Schumer of New York says he will support the vote basically to get the bill in a position to pass and to keep the government open.
For sure, the Republican bill is a terrible option. It is not a clean CR. It is deeply partisan. It doesn't address far too many of this country's needs. But I believe allowing Donald Trump to take even much more power via a government shutdown is a far worse option.
And Senator Chuck Schumer joins me now. Senator, thank you for joining us.
My pleasure.
Let's just start on this. I think there are a lot of people watching this right now who are confused about this decision, or upset by it. So just spell out, just give me your logic, particularly on this sort of on the one hand, on the other. What is the cost you see to the constitutional order of a shutdown that isn't already being done now?
It's a dramatic cost. Here's why, Chris. Under a shutdown, it is the executive branch, in this case, Trump, Musk, Doge, and Vogt, who's head of the OMB, who we all know are authoritarians, vicious, nasty, who would have sole control over what is funded and what isn't. They get to determine what is a, quote, essential service. And they will just cut to smithereens, far greater than in the CR bill, which is a lousy bill, far greater than that, what could be funded and what couldn't. And there's no recourse. You can't go to court. This is a decision totally in the executive branch. And so it would be devastating. Why is it that Elon Musk and Donald Trump want a government shutdown? So they can take control of the government and do their vicious, horrible things. They could cut half the government. They could tell employees you're not essential and never bring them back, permanently firing them. It's a disaster. And in a few weeks, if there was a shutdown, everyone would be complaining and howling. Why did they eliminate SNAP? Why did they cut so much of Medicaid? But they could do all that on their own. That's the problem. There is no check on them with a shutdown. That's not to say the CR bill is a good bill. It isn't. It didn't have any safeguards in it, but it would be.
So he said they can do all of these things. They fired a whole lot of people that they have to rehire. They can't do all of these things because it will go to court. Oh my God. We have too many geriatrics running the government. I definitely agree. There was a list of the ages of the people who were in the Senate. And it was so many of them in their late 70s and 80s. It was a slew of them. But Nene DeGoat, you must have missed my show yesterday. What was his name? From Connecticut. That old man, he was fired up. And he had an old man sitting next to him. He bammed on the table. They had a committee, a Doge oversight committee, and I don't know why I have never noticed this guy before, and I did a show watching that committee meeting, and yeah, it was good. I'll show it to you after we go into this. Now, okay, so you heard what he said. So why does he think that? Why does he think they will automatically uphold all this stuff that he is saying, that he could do this, he could do that, and they'll be asking it of who? Of him, not of you. Stand in your place, stupid. I mean, that's a stupid thing to do, in my opinion. It's just crazy. Okay, so let me show. Now they're saying that AOC, who is a congresswoman, they're trying to get her to primary Chuck Schumer. Thank you, lovely one. I say impeach his demonic ass right now. Okay, so I have goals. My goals are, if you have learned something new today. You probably haven't learned nothing new today, but just in case you hear something new, you can help me reach my little goals. My goal is to make sure you don't miss anything. Okay, so now do I want to? I'll show a little bit of. If you haven't subscribed to the Midas Touch, I recommend it. I can't tell you what to do. The link is in my description box. They have, thank God, their podcast has made Joe Rogan #2, who has been the #1 podcast for years. This guy, Ben Marcellus is an attorney, and his 3 brothers, they are independent media. They do stories that many people don't cover. So let's see what he has to say. What the fuck? Schumer caves to GOP continuing resolution, and Dems are pissed. So let's see what he says.
As Congresswoman AOC said yesterday, it should be very clear to every Senate Democrat that any vote for cloture will also be considered a vote for the bill, the continuing resolution. People aren't going to be tricked with procedural games. They know exactly what is going on. Defend Medicaid, vote no on cloture, no on bill. And to be clear, what cloture means, it's basically a vote on whether you will move to a vote. When you vote on cloture to get to the next step to vote on a continuing resolution, you need 60 votes. So Democrats in the Senate, if they want, could block the next step to ever vote on the continuing resolution that Donald Trump and the MAGA Republicans want to push through as part of their dangerous agenda to destroy our government, to destroy Medicaid, to destroy the Department of Education, and to continue to destroy the way of life for Americans. And moments ago, we learned that Democratic Senator Chuck Schumer, who is the Democratic leader in the Senate, he caved and he said that he's going to support a vote in favor of cloture, which would then move on to the next step to allow a vote by majority in the Senate to vote on the continuing resolution. And I think Schumer thinks that we, the people, are going to be like, oh, well, I guess the Democrats in the Senate are voting against the bill, but they voted for cloture. So it looks like they're standing up. No, we know what's going on right here. And ultimately, if there's going to be a government shutdown, so be it, because there already is a hostile government takeover taking place right now. And Democrats need to use their leverage to stop what Trump and Musk and Doge are doing. Use every leverage point.
Don't give in on nothing. Why say yes when no will suffice? Grand Rising, lovely one. Now, this is the one, and now I gave that for explanation. And so they are saying that they're trying to convince AOC. Somebody wrote, I forget. Somebody wrote a text or a letter or something to her and said that if she would agree to run against him, that she would put some they would put some money in her campaign finance. So now this is the one I really want you guys to hear. This guy, he's going to rip him a good one.
This CR empowers Doge, continues the random wacky cuts, protects Donald Trump from the consequences of his actions, eliminates the possibility that Congress could stop the tariff wars. It is full of radioactive poison wrapped in a nougat-filled.
That's what it is. That's what I couldn't remember. It was something in this continuing resolution. It says that the Congress or the Senate cannot do anything to stop whatever he's doing with these tariff wars. That's why he said eliminate their ability to do anything about the tariff wars. That is in the actual continuing resolution that they want them to sign, that they won't interfere in what he's doing other than tanking the economy with these tariff wars. So let's go back. Okay, nothing else. I'm going to let this play.
Of radioactive poison wrapped in a nougat-filled layer, covered in desiccated moose shit, rolled up in asbestos, and you're not going to convince me it's a fucking bonbon, Chuck Schumer. This man just cut the throats of
Where are you
Democrats
going?
who have been fighting every day to stop this CR. What in the hot fuck was that about? It was absolutely the most politically irresponsible and tone deaf moment you could possibly have. Now you've empowered Mike Johnson, empowered Donald Trump, empowered the MAGA GOP to continue to do what they're doing. Incinerate Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid. Burn down the government. Rifle through every single American's personal tax records, their healthcare records, their Social Security records. Shut down information about what they're doing to the American people. This is the CR is the most toxic piece of shit I could possibly imagine. And Chuck Schumer just went, nah, too hard. We're not going to fight it. They might blame us. Guess what? Let them fucking blame you. Get in the fight. Show people you give a shit. Show people there's some line you won't fucking cross. Show people you've got a spine and guts and heart and some blood in your veins. Jesus fucking Christ, Chuck. Do you want you Mitch McConnell, if he was in your shoes, would be fucking Donald Trump every minute of the day. Mitch McConnell would have Mike Johnson rolled over on the floor, tied up in knots every day. If you can't do it, if you're the fucking General McClellan of the U.S. Senate, quit and let someone who's got some fucking balls take the job. This CR is going to absolutely fuck your people. You're going to dishearten every Democrat in the country. You're going to hurt your chances in 2026. And when you sit there and go, oh, well, there's nothing we can do. Yes, there is something you can do. You can tell the story every day. You can go out every day and tell people the harm that is being done by Donald Trump and Elon Musk and Mike Johnson and John Thune and every other goddamn Republican who's leading this charge to burn this fucking country to the ground. Am I mad? Yes, I'm mad. Is anger justified? Yes, it's justified. The fact that you people have a perfect setup, teed up opportunity where you could absolutely hang this around their necks like a fucking boat anchor and throw them into the deep end of the pool absolutely boggles my mind. That's it. End of discussion.
Enough said. I say I concur. Enough said. Okay, so that link is in the description box. Funny how Republicans are doing that to keep the next person elected from doing their jobs in the future. And the Dems keep laying down and getting rolled over. Exactly. I think that if some of these weak Dems, we know that a lot of them voted for these unqualified cabinet picks. A lot of Democrats voted for this unqualified cabinet pick. We also know that 10 Democrats voted to censure Al Green for they said that he didn't show good decorum when he stood up and yelled about you don't have a mandate to dismantle Medicare. So 10 Democrats voted to censure their own, something that Republicans would never do. And let's look at how many times they showed no decorum. They showed no decorum that night when that Republican reached over there and snatched that sign out of that woman's hand when 4547 was entering the wells of Congress. They showed no decorum when Marjorie Taylor Greene was sitting up there with a red Trump campaign hat on. That's against decorum. But these 10 Democrats, so if they see their minority leader voting for this, how many of those weak motherfuckers are going to vote for this? This is no time to be a weak motherfucker. This is no time. We ain't got time for that shit. That's all I'm saying. See? Yeah, I saw. Yes, I saw. Okay, so now let's get into. I said, when are we gonna fire this Musk person? So let's take a little, like Demetrius say, a deep dive. Let's take a deep dive into who Musk has been for years. We know. I don't know if you guys know. Musk is not the originator of the Tesla. Musk purchased Tesla. He purchased Tesla, and he had to go to Barack Obama, to get money to save the Tesla company. And he had to, I showed you was it yesterday? A text yesterday where, do I still have the text? I may still have the text. I showed you a text from Trump said that when he was first in office, that Elon Musk came to him wanting to be saved again, and he said, "And who buys those electric cars that don't go far?" And he said he could have told him to get on his knees, and Elon would have done it. This is something that he tweeted out on his Truth Social account when he was first in office. I think I have the tweet. Let me share this with you first. Let me see if I have that tweet. Grand Rising, Very Carey, if I didn't say it out loud. Oh, I took it off. If you look at my show yesterday, I definitely played it on there. But let's take a little deep dive and try to find out who Elon Muskrat really is. So Brownsville, Texas. You know that Texas have no taxes. What another company said that they're leaving California. So the Muskrat was looking for a place to build another SpaceX outside of California, and Brownville, Texas, which is a border town has mostly Mexicans, a small town. They courted him, and that's where he landed up with SpaceX. And it's interesting that the only people who are benefiting from him being there are people who work for him. And he brought up a swath of houses prior to him ever getting the bid, and his employers rent these houses from him. And it's a nice neighborhood. But the rest of the town is not it's pristine. It's less like, but only it's called, they have a name for it, space something, but only the people who work for Tesla can live there and pay their employer rent. Okay, so let's look at this.
I think we're at the dawn of a new era. I think it's going to be very exciting.
We are at T-minus under 33 minutes and counting.
I'd love to have SpaceX be the company that brings humanity to Mars, and I hope I see it while I'm still alive.
I mean, are we going to Mars or not? Right now, we sure are messing a lot of stuff up in our area here.
Brownsville, Texas sits at the southernmost tip of the United States. It's a border town of 200,000 people. 10 years ago.
So surely, this should be an improvement to the town, right? There shouldn't be any problems. Let's see.
It was upended by the arrival of a very famous new resident, the richest man in the world. Many residents are glad that this $350 billion company moved into a town that has struggled with high unemployment for decades.
We need this area to grow. It's the poorest county in the nation.
If we don't grow, we're going to die.
Come here, Elon. Did you see his rocket yesterday?
President Trump has promised to support Musk's vision for interplanetary travel.
We will pursue our manifest destiny into the stars, launching American astronauts to plant the stars and stripes on the planet Mars.
This is what victory feels like. Yeah.
Not the way those last two rockets that he shot up in the air burst into dust and stopped airports from landing, closed down airports, and sprinkle its debris filled all over the Kurtz. What is it? The Kurtz and Caicos? The Kurtz and what is it? Is it it's not the Kurtz. The Turks and Caicos. I'm like, that's not it. And all through the Gulf of Mexico, all in the ocean. Who's responsible for what toxic waste is in that debris that he is littering all in our oceans. And is there any more debris from him being in Brownsville, Texas? And if he is creating debris fields, is he cleaning it up? Let's find out.
But what's actually happening in Brownsville, where Elon Musk has already staked his company's flag?
We're a disadvantaged community that's being exploited by a billionaire for his experimental space fantasy.
We used to go a lot. I mean, before I even married, we would go, and he would go with his family also. And then once we married, we had boys. We were there probably every weekend.
It was just a very serene place. It's still beautiful when you can get there.
Renee and Ida Medrano live just 17 miles from Boca Chica Beach, where SpaceX launches the rocket Starship, the largest and most powerful rocket ever built, and the one that Elon Musk says will take humanity to Mars. The Starship, which includes the booster Super Heavy, is a 5,000-ton rocket made of stainless steel, designed to carry up to 150 metric tons of cargo, which Musk says is necessary for his Mars colony.
The launch is here. The rocket is right here, and you can hear it, you can feel it, you can see the fire, you can see the Raptors, and you see the smoke, and then all of a sudden you hear those booms. Our dog Miller was running around. It was loud. It sounded.
Okay, so that was the rocket that he petitioned this town to build and to test. Now he didn't want to do it in Florida for some reason, but let's see why he. Rick Perry was the governor of Texas during this deal. Okay.
Like
a bomb?
Huge, dangerous, super explosive bomb.
What was once 1,400 acres of beach and wetlands is now home to SpaceX's building facility, launch pad, and a continuously growing town where employees live, called Starbase. The rocket launches 5 times a year, but right now SpaceX is applying to launch 25 times a year.
It's a shame that it got to this point, as big as it is, and probably going to get bigger.
Musk came to Texas to pitch his private space launching facility in 2013.
This will be the first commercial orbital launch site in the world.
And warned that the company was also eyeing Georgia, Florida, and Puerto Rico.
We are looking at other potential launch locations.
The year before, Musk had spent $12,000 in campaign contributions and hired a lobbyist to court local politicians. SpaceX spent a total of $219,000.
You see how, and this is $219,000 ain't shit. But look what he gets, and look what he does with it, and look who's affected by it for $219,000.
On gifts, trips to SpaceX headquarters in California, and even a Lakers game. Texas is a billionaire-friendly state. They have no corporate tax or state income tax. But SpaceX wanted more, and Governor Rick Perry and the state officials were eager to win this bid. In exchange, Musk promised millions in growth.
Our competition for this in Texas is very serious.
When we first met with Elon, he explained the project to us. And then he asked us, do you know why I'm doing this? And he kind of, backs away from the table and looks at us and says, humanity can no longer sustain itself on this planet. So I'm going to help with that by colonizing Mars. So at that moment in time, number one, I thought, I'm fired. How am I going to go back to the poorest community in the United States and tell my leadership, hey, let's use our hard-earned tax dollars to incentivize and recruit a company to our community. And the reason that they're doing this is because they're going to save humanity by colonizing Mars. It was just so out there.
Gilberto Salinas co-founded the Greater Brownsville Incentives Corporation, an organization that allocates city taxes to attract businesses.
People laugh at us, but we're like, if we're able to align everything, it might be just that deal of the century.
Salinas' organization.
So all of these rich people think that Earth is unsalvageable. And they are the reason always wanting these loose regulations. So that's another reason why he went to Texas. Let's be clear. Hey, Brown Sugar. Hey, the real K-Fit. Okay, let me continue.
Organization chipped in $5 million in incentives, and the state approved an additional $15 million, as well as a 10-year waiver on county taxes. 10 years later, in 2024.
So he gets a waiver of 15 years in county taxes. And you see all of the world's richest man. They want him so bad. They give him, okay, you see all these houses. Win-win. Win-win. And they gave him $5 million. Win-win.
2004, SpaceX released a report claiming they had invested $3.5 billion in infrastructure and created 3,400 new jobs. To Salinas, Musk had kept his promise.
I think any business person will say, you invest $5 million and 10 years down the road, those $5 million are going to turn into $3+ billion. Yeah, I would do that deal any day.
Okay, so they invested $5 million. Okay, let's see if they got a return on their investment. And let's see how it worked out for those employees. Hold on. Good.
In 2014, SpaceX broke ground.
The future of South Texas takes off right behind me. This was the frontier at one time, and it's the frontier again.
Musk is really good at getting government subsidies. In the last few decades, he's gotten hundreds of billions of dollars from federal grants, tax incentives, and state contracts for his companies Tesla and SolarCity. SpaceX was near bankruptcy, and Musk was deep in debt when NASA gave the company a massive handout in 2008.
NASA called and told us that we'd won a $1.5 billion contract. And I couldn't even hold the phone. It's like, I just blurted it out. I love you guys.
They saved you.
Yeah, they did.
Financially and maybe even emotionally.
I'll tell you what, that was
always about to run his business in the ground. And then miraculously, he always get a $1 billion contract from a loser. A loser. Let's be clear. He didn't invent SpaceX either. He purchased that as well. It's not like these things are his mind creation and he's engineering any of this shit. He's catching people on the way up and buying out their companies and running them in the ground. The government continues to give him the most money he gets comes from the Defense Department and NASA. These are people who have kept him afloat on this motherfucking ketamine dream that the earth is no longer going to be habitable. So he's going to create a whole new world colony on Mars. Have they said if he's gotten a background check or a drug check yet? Is this who firing people on a whim? Let's continue. I'm going off on a tangent. Let's continue.
This is definitely helpful. Yeah.
But do those subsidies really pay off for towns like Brownsville?
We are a low-income community. We're primarily brown and indigenous. We have a very unique and beautiful community.
Becca Hinosa is a local environmentalist and activist who has been fighting SpaceX for years.
Our people here, we do need jobs. Most of us are in survival mode, and we're in survival mode because we've been exploited so many times by so many different industries. And now SpaceX is part of that.
Musk has a reputation for forcing high speeds on his workers and lacks safety standards at his work sites. Reuters reported in 2023 that there had been 600 injuries at SpaceX locations since 2014. One worker has been
600 injuries. 600 injuries. Because and now do you understand why he wanted to close down the Department of Labor? Because they're doing investigations on him. Why do you? Because they don't want their employees to unionize, and once they unionize, they have strict work and safety requirements. So, do you understand why every department of the FAA is the head of the FAA quit on inauguration day? You're gonna find out. Let's be clear. This is why he's closing all of these federal departments. And the first thing he did was fire all the attorney generals, who are the ones who look for waste, fraud, and abuse. Those were the first people that got fired. And then he closed down all the departments that had investigations on his businesses. He has free reign. Let's continue. 600 injuries since 2014. That's a lot of injuries. Let's continue. Let's see if a worker is going to talk about it himself.
Has been in a coma after an on-site accident for 3 years. Another lost vision in one of his eyes.
so many times by so many different
high speeds on his workers and lax safety standards at his work sites. Reuters reported in 2023 that there had been 600 injuries at SpaceX locations since 2014. One worker has been in a coma after an on-site accident for 3 years. Another lost vision in one of his eyes after being struck while moving a beam.
Ya no miré yo nada completamente. Entonces yo le gritaba a mi amigo, perdí mi ojo.
Musk's worksite in Boca Chica has an accident rate 6 times higher than anywhere in the space industry.
Lo que yo miré, he visto yo allí en ese trabajo de SpaceX, no hay suficiente seguridad. Ahí no hay.
Besides the $5 million Brownsville gifted to SpaceX when they first arrived, the Greater Brownsville Incentives Corporation has since spent another $1 million to attract space-related startups. Hinosa says it reminds her of a different time in South Texas's past. About 100 years ago, when rich landowners and politicians in the lower Rio Grande Valley tried to lure white settlers to the region to farm. The Tejano, Mexican-Americans who had lived there before Texas was even a state, and it still is today.
They advertised our low-income people as cheap workforce and cheap land, come here and exploit.
Since Musk's arrival, the launching site and the SpaceX campus have grown much faster than Hinosa and the Medranos ever imagined.
Never did we think that.
But that's not what they said that they would do there. So the space site has grown, but have they put any improvement to Brownsville itself? Or is it all the improvements are done and expansion done to SpaceX only? Catch. While using their cheap labor and throwing them away. A man is in a coma for 3 years? My God.
That they would be taking over the entire area. It was just Elon Musk is going to come in, he's going to build a little pad, he's going to have launch, and that's it. But now it's totally different than what was explained.
The thing that bothers the Medranos the most is that they can rarely go to Boca Chica Beach, a beach the state of Texas and the city of Brownsville promised the public would be able to visit. The Texas state constitution guarantees access to all public beaches, but in 2013, the state amended the Texas Open Beaches Act to carve out space activity. Now the state is free to close the beach anytime SpaceX wants to launch a rocket. And it turns out that's a lot.
They'll send a text and they'll say Boca Chica Beach is now closed. And if we're planning to go out there, that's it. Unpack everything. And then 8, 9, 10, 11 o'clock at night, I'll get.
Okay, do the citizens get any compensation for any of this? No, they don't.
Get another text. Boca Chica Beach is now open. Well, who's going to go out there at 10 o'clock at night?
You're on their time. You're on SpaceX time.
Local people call Boca Chica Beach the poor people's beach because this is where
the poor people's beach. Of course it is. And you've been run off of your own one place where you can go to the beach. It's poor people out there. You can go on the beach. How come you can go to Malibu?
It's where people come to fish. We come to the beach with our families because it was free and open to the public. And SpaceX is changing all of that rapidly.
Boca Chica Beach is not only a popular spot for fishing and swimming, it's also a complex ecosystem, one of the most biologically diverse in North America, and home to endangered and protected species, including the ocelot, sea turtles, and the piping plover.
SpaceX is trampling over this entire site, singeing the wildlife, burning down part of the wildlife refuge. This region, most of the native habitat has been destroyed because of real estate development, industrialization, farming. We only have 3% left, and that 3% is being destroyed by SpaceX.
Hinosa co-founded the Texas Environmental Justice Center, and along with other national and local environmental organizations, is suing the FAA and SpaceX for violation of the National Environmental Policy Act, or NEPA. In order to build on the site, Musk had to do a thorough environmental impact statement, or EIS, under the National Environmental Protection Act. These reports are really comprehensive. They include impacts to air quality, carbon emissions, water usage, wildlife protection, as well as cultural and economic impacts. Initially, SpaceX got approval to launch the Falcon 9, a reliable and after years of testing, safe rocket that takes cargo into lower orbit. But in 2018, SpaceX announced they would be launching the Starship Super Heavy, a rocket.
Whoa, that's way bigger. That they didn't ask to build that. Okay.
20% larger than the Falcon 9, with 10 times the thrust. In a press conference, Musk said they would be testing their new rocket in Texas instead of the Kennedy Center in Florida because
he's got to let it land with nobody around, and so if it blows up, it's cool.
It's got a lot of land with nobody around, and so if it blows up, it's cool. That's what he just said. I had a hard time understanding it. Let me put it on closed captions. This is okay.
conference, Musk said they would be testing their new rocket in Texas instead of the Kennedy Center in Florida because
He's got a lot of land with nobody around, and so if it blows up, it's cool. If it blows up, it's cool.
this is a perfect example of a time the FAA should have conducted a second EIS, but instead did a simplified environmental assessment, or EA. Officials concluded that there would be no significant impact of launching this much larger rocket from Boca Chica Beach. That same year, before a single rocket started a fire during an engine test that engulfed 68 acres of brushland in flames and burned through the night. In spite of this,
68 acres, burned up 68 acres. There's nobody around, so it's cool. They never had him do a comprehensive study on a rocket that had 20 times more of the thrust. And they were just testing it, and it burned up 69 acres. What were the repercussions? The town is suing the FAA as well because of this.
After this, the first launch of Starship was scheduled for April 20th, 2023, aka Weed Day. Here's how the launch was supposed to go. Starship was meant to orbit the Earth, with a booster landing in the Gulf of Mexico and the spaceship re-entering the atmosphere and landing in the Pacific Ocean. Instead, the launch pad exploded, sending debris across Boca Chica Beach and scorching more than 3 acres of land. A dust cloud poured over the nearby Port Isabel. Buildings shook, a window shattered.
Holy crap, rocket is launching. See it on the ladder. It's like a soot. Big old layer of cake of it. And they're trying to tell us it's sand.
SpaceX had installed flame diverters, or a simple and very necessary water deluge system, sending shards of concrete and rebar all across the beach. The spaceship also failed to separate.
Did you see this beach where all of this concrete and rebar? And come to find out, they never cleaned the beach up.
Sending shards of concrete and rebar all across the beach. The spaceship also failed to separate from the booster.
The entire Starship stack continuing to rotate. We should have had separation by now.
And spiraled in orbit before exploding and landing into the Gulf of Mexico. Elon looked disappointed, but SpaceX assured viewers it was a success.
You never know exactly what's going to happen, but as we promised, excitement is guaranteed.
What Elon Musk and what SpaceX tells people is that we are so efficient, we have to develop our rockets by just testing them in the real world. We're not going to use many computer models to make sure that everything's perfect. And if it blows up, then we're going to get even more data. It's actually good if it blows up.
Okay, so this is who we have making sure that our government is efficient. So if it blows up, then we just get more data. So is this what we're doing with our government? Somebody who has this type of work ethic about his own space program? If it blows up, then okay. Yes, this is who we have firing people from their job, talking about taking the Medicare, Medicaid, food stamps, all this welfare, whatever, from poor people, the closing the Department of Education. But as he continues to get big contracts, he just took the Verizon contract away from the FAA, who was going to develop a new system for air traffic controlling. They had the contract. And I just want to know how soon is it going to take Verizon to sue? Because they had the contract. They won the bid for the contract. But now all of a sudden it is taken away. How does that even happen? Nobody has explained how that happened. And this is the person. And if it blows up, they just gonna get more data when planes already falling out of the sky, near misses and all of this type of shit. Okay, let's continue.
Blows up.
Eric Roche is an environmental engineer who writes about SpaceX at his blog ESG Hound.
Those failures have externalities. Every time you launch a rocket, there's a sound wave, there's pollution, you are disrupting people's way of life.
Roche documented the damage after that first launch. Burned nests and eggs, dust and chunks of concrete, and scraps of metal on the beach.
NASA launches mostly from Kennedy Space Center, which is thousands of acres that was allocated by Congress. And so it has a buffer built in. Whereas SpaceX's launch site in Boca Chica is a tiny little spot of land, and it's surrounded by land that they don't own. It's very close to populated areas. And so those externalities are going to be magnified just by orders of magnitude.
The Kennedy Space Center was built using eminent domain, approved by Congress in 1964. But Musk hasn't gone through that same process. He's just slowly expanding the scale and scope of his operation. Roche says it's eminent domain by fiat.
I have never experienced an earthquake until SpaceX. The earthquake that I experienced in my apartment, which is over 20 miles away, is an earthquake caused by a billionaire.
Before Musk could launch again, the FAA grounded the Starship, launched an investigation conducted by SpaceX, but overseen by the FAA. They found 63 things that needed to be changed before the Starship could launch again. Musk and his fans goaded officials on Twitter, which Musk owns and has renamed X.com. The investigation closed in September, and the second launch was in November 2023. It was another failure.
The Super Heavy booster has just experienced a rapid unscheduled disassembly.
But in 2024,
a rapid unscheduled disassembly. It blew up.
During Starship's fifth flight, the reusable booster separated and returned to the launch tower, which was a major accomplishment for SpaceX. However, not a single one of the launches has successfully gotten cargo into orbit. Musk continued to publicly beef with the FAA, and in September 2024, the FAA charged SpaceX $633,000 for safety violations.
$633,000 is nothing for 63 things that they didn't do correct. $633,000. He pissed on $633,000. Are they kidding me?
At Cape Canaveral Station. Musk threatened to soon return, but never did. As the 2024 election approached, he became increasingly vocal that a Trump victory would free SpaceX from unnecessary regulations.
I feel more optimistic.
He needed to be freed from regulation. After all of this, see, when they talk about deregulating things, he had too much regulation on him, and you see all of the havoc that he has wreaked. And he is talking about it would be a good thing to free up regulations. Is this who is firing people in our government and talking about the waste, fraud, and abuse that he's found? He has not yet proven any of the things that he is alleging that he's found in our agencies. This is who we're trusting. Let's continue.
Optimistic about it with the Trump White House. The biggest impediment to progress that we're experiencing is overregulation. The bureaucracy in the U.S. has been growing every year.
And after Trump took office, the head of the FAA, Michael, stepped down after serving only 15 months of his 5-year tenure. Musk had told him to resign on Twitter just a few months before. We went to Texas in January 2025, just as SpaceX was gearing up for their 7th launch of the Starship. Before every launch, people come from all over the country to tailgate, talk rockets, and perform light shows with their Cybertrucks.
The idea of colonizing the moon and going to Mars is also just really inspiring. And it's inevitable. I think the Earth is not infinite in its resources, so we got to start looking.
Motherfucker, you look like you about 79 or 80 years old. You ain't got to worry about going to Mars. If you go to Mars, you're going to go via way of a motherfucking casket being dropped in the ground, talking about it's inevitable. These you think they got half of a colony built on Mars. You old motherfucker, you ain't going to Mars unless somebody shoot you up the ass with a rocket. That's the only way you're going to go to Mars. Let's continue. I got to stop and give commentary. That's all. That's the only reason I said that. Okay, let's go.
Looking elsewhere.
That same week, the FAA was hosting a public forum to talk about SpaceX, increasing the number of launches a year from 5 to 25. Both Medranos and Becca Hinosa were there.
NDA is a concise document used to describe the anticipated environmental impacts.
Residents were able to talk to SpaceX representatives and make comments to a court reporter. They asked about damages to their foundations and windows. They wanted to know how 25 launches a year would impact the fisheries and the wildlife.
The information that they're giving us is based on the fight. Yeah, 2022. So that's also assuming that the climate is going to stay the same.
The window. It takes about 3 seconds. It can be shaky, but it's not expected to cause any serious damage to the houses.
25 makes me laugh, I mean, they had a hard time.
So they had agreed to only launch 5 rockets, and now a year. So now they're gonna push it up to 25 rockets a year. And these people from SpaceX are saying, "Oh no, there should be no problem," and people already have cracked foundations. And this is what they're telling them. Us going up 20 more rockets per year. Oh, it's not going to impact you, your homes, and your environment when it already has. Let's continue.
Time just with 5 or 6 and keeping all the debris that fall in the Gulf or fall in the Bay or fall wherever it falls.
The FAA told us there wasn't a significant impact. We know that's not true. And what it looks like is the FAA, once again, just making steps to give SpaceX whatever license they want.
The FAA still hasn't announced whether or not SpaceX will be allowed to launch 25 times a year. The seventh launch.
Well, it may be good to learn that Duffy and Musk was arguing in the White House because Musk wanted him to fire air traffic controllers while there's such a big swath of planes crashing and falling out of the sky and landing on their rooftop. So he's over the FAA. So, but I think he's going to give him what he wants anyway. But maybe he'll put up a fight. I don't know. But I think we should put up a fight. Because they're trying to act like he's the best thing, the most intelligent thing since sliced bread. And they still have not told us if Carolyn Lovett or whatever her name is, the spokesperson for 4547, still has not came back and let us know. And she was going to go check and she'll let us know if he had a background check. And with a background check for these positions that they are taking, I'm pretty sure that they have to have a drug test. See, nobody has gotten to the point of did he complete the steps that any other federal or government official had to complete to get the job? That's what I want to know.
The launch was late, a week late. So the beach was closed on Friday, and then Saturday, Wednesday, and Thursday, when the rocket finally launched. It ended with an explosion over Turks and Caicos.
The vehicle just exploded. The stunning aftermath could be seen by passengers on a plane. The same flight to Miami was rerouted to avoid the debris. Other flights were also diverted.
The FAA ground SpaceX again. In December 2024, SpaceX made another surprise announcement. They would apply to incorporate the town of Starbase. For Starbase to become a town, they'll need 201 residents and a majority vote. Luckily for the future town of Starbase, the vast majority of residents in Boca Chica Village are now SpaceX employees that rent from their boss. As SpaceX was developing the Starship, they were also buying up houses in a tiny unincorporated resort town just a few miles from Boca Chica Beach. Boca Chica Village had just 38 houses, mostly occupied by part-time residents that winter in Texas. In 2019, SpaceX offered to buy out all of the residents, saying that with new FAA safety regulations, it wasn't safe for people to stay in the village.
This letter that SpaceX sent out is more of a bully attack, a hostile takeover.
But at the same time, SpaceX was moving their employees into town and expanding.
So they lied to get their houses, saying that it wasn't going to be safe for them to have their houses there, only to remodel these houses and make them real nice for their employees. Okay, and now they're trying to incorporate this as their own town. So the rich getting over on people who have lived there for decades. So if you want to see the rest of this video, hey Candy, it is in my description box. And speaking of which, that is kind of like a theme for rich people now, trying to buy up property from farmers and people who live in areas that you don't think are attractive to live in. I came upon this as well. I already talked to you guys about. This is called Under Secret. That one was under Brownville versus Musk. This is under Secret City. This is kind of like the same concept. A bunch of hedge fund people have got together and tried to buy up all of this farmlands from farmers. Somewhere, I think it's north of Sacramento. And once the farmers were like, no, we don't want to sell, they took them to court. They tried to sue the people who refused to sell them their houses. A bunch of tech billionaires is who they are. So I just wanted to know if I haven't reached my goals, but I thank you guys who supported me up until this point. If you learned something new, please feel free. Let's check this out, shall we? So let's check this out.
This land here, as well as on the other side, which is a bit scary. Yeah, all of this. think people know what we will be giving up, but what will we get in return is the larger question, and no one really knows that with certainty.
Solano County, California sits just north of the Bay Area and south of Sacramento. And for the past 8 years, its largely middle and working class communities have been facing what many locals consider a hostile takeover.
They've destroyed families. They don't care. They do not care about us, no matter what they say.
You can't make this shit up. You know, I have never seen anything like this.
We visited Solano County in June to learn more about a battle between a local community and a secretive group intent on creating its own society. The story began in 2017.
A farmer from out in the area called me and said, hey, somebody's buying land out here. And I thought, okay. He goes, but it's a lot of land. So I went down and to the county and looked at the property records, and I could see the name Flannery LLC, and that they had bought up at that time more than 20,000 acres.
Albert Medvitz and his wife, Jeannie, moved back to Solano County in 1987 to run her family's farm, one of the many dryland farms in the region.
In 2019, we ourselves got a letter offering to buy our ranch at inflated prices. We made it clear there's no way we're going to sell this ranch. And they simply could not seem to comprehend why people would turn down money for something that may be more value than money could buy.
They decided to sue the ones who would not sell to them.
They came in the dark of night, kind of. They did this stuff secretly. You know, they've just ticked off a whole lot of the community. And then they have the gall to sue farmers that don't want to sell. It's just like, what are you thinking?
Flannery also sued dozens of other family farmers who held out after discussing the value of their land amongst each other, accusing them of collusion and antitrust violations.
Of course they talked. Farmers do that. People do that. They want badly. One's right near the water, and that person is not giving it up. So these farmers, what's happened is they are going broke trying to fight back against these billionaire boys.
It's just been agonizing. There were so many people.
Of course, they took them to court. That is exactly what they wanted to do, to have them understand that you're going to spend up all your money and all your time trying to fight us to. Of course, they were trying to break them, kind of like they did that 90-something-year-old woman in North Carolina, who I always talk about. She actually passed away before her case was settled, and she won. What's around the area? Hit the link and check it out. It's a border town that was basically had no opportunities or anything like that. So that's all I know about Brownsville, Texas. Grand Rising, a view is a view. Miss Queenie, if I didn't speak, Grand Rising. It's in the description box, Miss Queenie. So, of course, they to suck people dry going to court. That is why they took them to court. Okay.
People who were wounded by this.
The buyers maintained a veil of secrecy around their identity until August 2023. That's when the New York Times broke the news that Flannery, which eventually spent $900 million buying up
the Silicon Valley elite. That's who Flannery was.
66,000 acres of is the front group company called California Forever. And California Forever, backed by billionaires such as Reid Hoffman, Laurene Powell Jobs, and Mark Andreessen, wants to build a privately run city in the middle of the county's protected farmland with far less regulation.
The new city would be located north of Highway 12.
With far less regulation. They want to incorporate themselves so they can be you get the theme with these uber rich people. They don't want regulation. Let's continue.
Well, between Travis Air Force Base and Rio Vista.
The group wants to build a green community that it claims will include thousands of affordable homes, shopping, dining, and walkable neighborhoods.
So they're saying they want to be good neighbors with people in Solano County, and at the same time, they're suing their literal fence-by-fence neighbors.
So how would they... So do you actually believe that they... Oh, shoot.
Check out.
I made a mistake. Do you... Let me make sure my mic is on. Do you actually
Please
believe... Hold on. That
sign
they
the
care about
and urge Congress.
low-income housing? These uber-rich people who are suing people who don't want to give them their land. Do you actually believe that they care about creating low income housing. They didn't say that they were undercharging them for their houses. They said that they actually came in with large bids for their houses. So these people who are suing these people who they offered a gaggle of money for their property and then sued them when they wouldn't sell them, planning on creating a lot of low-income houses. You know, that's what every developer says, that they will have some percentage of low-income housing to get their building or community or whatever they are planning to built. Let's keep that clear.
Space and Rio Vista.
The group wants to build a green community that it claims will include thousands of affordable homes, shopping, dining, and walkable neighborhoods.
So they're saying they want to be good neighbors with people in Sonoma County.
Oh, I correct myself. They didn't say low income. They said affordable. I guess affordable. Who's to say, affordable to one is not affordable to all, but these are uber rich guys, so they probably think $1.5 million is an affordable home. I mean, what the fuck is affordable? Okay, let's continue.
At the same time, they're suing their own literal fence-by-fence neighbors.
Investors in California Forever have been largely mum on the project and strategy.
Now, this Jobs woman, I wonder if this is Steve Jobs' widow. What is her name? They said something Jobs. Let's see if that's. I wonder if that's Steve. I'm gonna search it out and see if that's
Jobs. And Mark Andreessen wants to build billionaires such as Reid Hoffman, Maureen Powell Jobs, and Mark Andreessen wants to build a misquote.
Maureen Powell Jobs.
Okay, hold on. It was a hard decision, but we have laws on the book.
Fence-by-fence neighbors.
Investors in California Forever have been largely mum on the project and strategy. The public face of California Forever is its CEO, a former Goldman Sachs whiz kid named Jan Schwamek. He grew up in Eastern Europe, was a young prodigy in London, and founded a failed Twitter app. He's talking about the lawsuits at a tech conference.
It was a hard decision, but we have laws on the books that protect against that kind of conduct, and we'll leave it to the courts to figure it out.
What is the law that says if you want my property and I don't want to sell it to you, you drag me to court?
There's no law like that. What we have a law against is the law that says if the 6 gas companies, the gas stations in town get together and say that they're going to charge $50 for gas, then there's price fixing laws against that.
Schwamek has also been confronted by residents.
I cannot tell you how much hatred I have for these people. Just hatred. Schwamek was crude and did not understand that he would have had a much better reception if he had talked to people.
Schwamek self-published a book in 2009 titled Racing Towards Excellence, which summed up his personal outlook with a misquote attributed to Ayn Rand. Quote, "The question isn't who's going to let me, it's who's going to stop me." The stakes are sky high, both locally and for the nation. If the project goes through, a precedent will be set with billionaires able to buy their way through community resistance and create their own privately held societies. And if that sounds exaggerated, it's already in progress elsewhere.
Legacy systems of governance keep individuals from reaching their full potential.
Andreessen, one of California Forever's billionaire tech investors, is also an investor in a company called Pronomos, which is trying to build its own radical tech cities around the world. In Honduras, Pronomos purchased land unbeknownst to locals in order to build Prospera, a libertarian, Bitcoin-powered city. And now that the country wants them out, the company is suing to establish autonomy.
Okay, so I'm going to leave it there. There is a lot of information in this video. And yes, that is Steve Jobs' wife, Laureen Powell Jobs. That is the type of money that is trying to go into these rural areas of California under the cloak of an LLC. I didn't get to the part where they wanted to incorporate their own city. Let me get to that part. They wanted this city to be incorporated so they could do whatever they wanted. Let me see.
Prospera had a very negative impact on our community.
just as much mystery and libertarian zeal.
I first met Jan. He came to City Hall and met with me, and I had my city manager there as well. And the one thing that's always stuck out with me in that discussion was we asked him, what kind of governance are you talking about if you're making a city? And he said, we're going to do something completely different. It won't be what you're used to. And we asked him to go a little further, and he did not. But it wasn't going to be like a city council kind of thing.
I think the biggest disadvantage will be to the individuals in the new community because you don't have an elected official to hold accountable. You don't have anyone that you can directly communicate your concerns to.
This is a key promise of the so-called network state movement, a tech separatist effort to create private self-governed utopias. Schwamek has claimed he isn't interested in the movement, but several of California Forever's top investors are involved, and its creator called the would-be city a prime example of his idea.
The network state is about the book, is about the bare land version of it, right? Which is already being tried. You're seeing it in Northern California.
Donald Trump, supported by Andreessen and other Silicon Valley libertarians, has a similar plan, but he calls them freedom cities.
No, you can't serve two masters, is my opinion. So one will always suffer. Either you'll answer to the people that you're serving or your investors, but you really can't do both.
So, did you see the picture of Elon Musk there? Yes, you saw him. You saw his picture there too, as a believer of these types of cities. Okay, let's continue.
Schwamek has talked repeatedly about removing regulations around building, which is key to the network state's self-government plan and for developers.
And when I look at
So, do you think the one of the plans that these billionaires may have for this town is to buy up seats in their government? I wonder if they're going to put money to run opposition to the people who have their seats. Let's see.
Look at all of these plans or places that I visited, I often wonder, was the original vision somehow more radical? And then it would water down because the fire department said something and the city said something.
I don't believe that this is just going to be a development. I think this is going to be an experiment about forms of governance. And when you have somebody like Mark Andreessen writing the Techno-Optimist Manifesto, claiming that words like sustainability are a curse on society, I think that's extremely exaggerated.
When we spoke with Solano County locals and officials, they voiced some similar concerns about the proposed city, its size, and how it impacts the generations of residents.
My fear is that building a development like this, where it could be up to 400,000 people in a county of 450,000 people, it's not being built for the people of Solano County.
And we have to deal with the consequences. We have to deal with the congestion on Highway 12. We have to deal with the increase in taxes that could possibly happen or occur. We have to deal with, if we're in a drought year, how is water going to be re-rationed?
There was uncertainty about promises made to working class residents.
They're flat out lying to people about what it is.
And worry about California Forever's impact on the environment and economy, which was validated when the Solano County Board of Supervisors released an economic impact study. The report was prepared ahead of a November ballot initiative to change zoning laws to allow the city's construction to begin. Polling already showed mass opposition to the plan. Then this happened.
California Forever announcing today its East Solano plan will no longer.
Now the company is promising to make adjustments and try again in 2026. But the issues they face run deeper than deficits. Many of them are a matter of just misunderstanding the region. Here's what Jan Schwamek told billionaire investor, LinkedIn co-founder Reid Hoffman about the county's farmland.
We've been able to purchase this property because it is some of the worst soil for agriculture within 100 miles.
Locals vehemently disagree, pointing to the $1.3 billion in revenue that farms and related businesses produced in 2023.
They have taken over a lot of land that has been dry farmed and has brought protein to the country and the world for 3 and 4 generations.
And in this era of climate change, when water is becoming scarcer across the country and across the world to use for crops, to be able here to set an example of how we can produce significant food, important food, without relying on water, is hugely important.
The Orderly Growth Initiative has governed land use and planning in Solano County for 40 years, keeping cities growing without impacting farmland. Voters would have to approve changes to the law for the city to be built on protected farmland. Ironic, because the ordinance was first enacted in 1984 to prevent an investor from San Francisco from establishing a new city on the farmland.
Everything that's green is protected by the Orderly Growth Initiative. Okay, so Flannery's looking at this big green chunk down here. Here's Rio Vista, and there's Travis Air Force Base. So everything in gold is the land that Flannery bought. And you can see it's virtually that entire corner of the county.
As one of the 10 core guarantees made to Solano County residents, California Forever promised to create good-paying jobs in places where people live. Many of the companies that Schwamek announced as potential employers in East Solano are tech startups that share investors with California Forever's billionaire funders. Instead of waiting for a brand new city, officials say they would welcome them to their towns now.
We have a whole city block that I offered Dan to go ahead and develop what you're looking at. Let's see it.
It's a bit disrespectful to withhold opportunity because it's tied to you directly. It's almost like a bait and switch or dangling a carrot before a person.
Here's what I've said about those companies.
What they're saying is, we don't want you in our cities. Please, we're going to develop our own city, and it's not for you. That's what they're saying.
That they've said might want to come out there. Come here now.
Affordable housing is another one of the 10 guarantees that California Forever offered the community as part of its sales pitch. They claim Solano County isn't building enough housing.
If you think that we aren't building enough houses, go down and look at our general plan and then come back and talk to us. It's thousands and thousands of houses.
We took a tour of locations where housing is being built right nearby. There were huge new developments in an area already zoned for housing and small neighborhoods right off main streets.
As you can tell, we're really active here in development. Price is really affordable for Bay Area standards, which is really cool. But the difference is these gentlemen can probably afford to live in these houses that we're building, which I take great pride in that. You know, I'm working class. My family is working class.
California Forever's apartments will start at $400,000 in today's dollars. Years from now, when the city would open, that's likely to be well over $500,000.
Who that affordable housing going to be for is not for me and my people. They did the same thing in Silicon Valley. They promised them all these houses and all this. Well, look at them now, unhoused. They're going to do the same thing to us.
California Forever now plans to get a development agreement in place before a vote by residents in 2026, which could address their many concerns. The company plans to work with the Board of Supervisors on the project, which has people worried. It's very unlikely to win over some of the current supervisors.
As far as I'm concerned, I will never trust anything that they bring forward on anything. You broke the public trust. You operated in bad faith. You went after our farmers.
The concern is that they may work to remake the board.
As long as they're here, they're going to work really hard to take over our politics. They haven't done that step yet, but they're getting close. That's what the 49ers did in Santa Clara. I mean, they basically bought city council seats and to get the deal they want.
The CEO of the San Francisco 49ers has spent a record $3 million on supporting 4 candidates running for a seat on Santa Clara's city council.
They will do everything they can to get infrastructure money into their project to cut down the.
Okay, so does that remind you of anything or anybody? If they can't just lie to you and get it and offer you money, what they will buy a politician. Who does that remind you of? Especially a politician who, if they do not win their seat, they possibly could be going to jail. So I think. I just wanted to. What do you guys think of that? Any comments? Is anybody still here? What do you guys think of that? So I just wanted to show you. And they're trying to put more people out of jobs. They're trying to make more people desperate, and they're trying to insulate themselves from the regular people. Do not enter zone. More their personal redlining. The regular people out. The common folks out. But they're trying to make more working people. They're trying to. It's like they're trying to ruin this country, and something needs to be done, in my opinion. These are just my opinions. That's all I can say. Where was that in North Carolina? What is that place? Is it in North Carolina or South Carolina where they were trying, a big developer was trying to take over that old Black woman's house by saying a piece of her porch was on their land. And they were trying to take her land under eminent domain. And these are people who had big money, but they didn't want to, they undercut her. Where is this called? Where is that beach town in the Carolinas? I always forget that. I've never been to the Carolinas. Every time I try to think of the name of that city, you think it's evil and foul. Every time I try to think of it, I forget it. The Real Housewives of The Real Housewives of Potomac went there, and Simone was mad because that's where Cecil. No, Jackie was mad because that's where Curtis had taken his side chick. Where is that? I forgot. And she was mad at Simone because Simone knew that Curtis had taken his side chick there. Where is that? Let me see if I can find it. Oh my God. I cannot believe you guys are not helping me remember. Let me see. I can't believe you guys are not helping me. Okay. Okay, forget you guys. It was in South Carolina. Forget you. I found it. Mm-hmm. Okay. And she died before the case was settled, and she won her case. Oh, they said that a satellite dish and a screened-in porch was encroaching on the group's property. Where is it? Gullah Geechee Islander. Wait a minute. That's not where. Where is she from? It still doesn't say where she's from. Hilton Head. There it is. How come you guys didn't tell me that I can't? Yes, Hilton Head. No, it was Hilton Head. They're doing a whole lot of development, and a whole lot of that land goes back centuries. When the story got out, a lot of people helped her and sent her money to actually fight this case. You guys may remember this case. Let me share my screen with you guys. In Hilton Head. Here is the story. Right here. Let me zoom up. Yeah, I've never been to the Carolinas. We want to keep my property. Developer sues Black 93-year-old woman who won't sell her house that's been in her family for generations. A 93-year-old South Carolina woman is fighting to keep her land and property after a developer sued her in what she insists is part of a relentless effort to force her off of her property so they can use it for a nearby development. Bailey Investment Group approached Josephine Wright earlier this year asking to buy her 1.8-acre property on Hilton Head Island to use for a 27-acre, 147-unit development called Bailey's Cove. Bailey's Cove. What a cute little name. And we're just going to buy you up off this land, little old Black woman. But unfortunately, she spent her dying days in the fight for her land. She refused. The home has been in her family since just after the Civil War. The relatives of her husband, a Gullah Geechee Islander, were freed by a Union soldier after they escaped enslavement. What is this? Lord? Oh, I saw that. it's historical. It goes back to the Civil War, and it's been in the family since that time. Rice said of her home in a news conference last week, "We want to keep our property within the family." In February, the group filed a lawsuit against Wright, claiming that a satellite dish screened-in porch and a shed was encroaching on the properties on the group properties line and obstructing the construction process behind her home. So you wanted to take her whole home over a shed? Yeah, it was bullshit. Okay. Wright's granddaughter, Charisse Grave, told local outlet 5 News that the family spent thousands to remove items mentioned in the Bailey's group claim. Oh, so they did remove them, but they continue to badger Wright. I didn't even know that they had moved these. Oh, so it was just a land grab, and it didn't work. Okay, so I haven't watched any other Real Housewives in a very long time. I heard James talking, I don't know what live it was. I heard James talking about the Housewives, and I haven't watched Atlanta and I don't know how long. But he said that they have a new cast, and he said that it was really good. But I think I'm kind of over Atlanta. I watched Married to Medicine maybe 2 seasons ago. I know I didn't watch it this season. But I don't know. James said that Real Housewives of Atlanta, the first episode came on. I did see the police video of Karen getting arrested for her 4th DUI. And hey, focus on what you love. I did see the episode where Karen got arrested for her 4th DUI, and James said on the reunion she was in jail. You know, she got a year in jail, and I believe it's 1 year in jail and 1 year of probation. So, and I saw an interview that Carlos King did with that black attorney who did 1 season on Real Housewives of New York City. What was her name again? I forget. I don't know. I forget. The black attorney who was on the Real Housewives of New York City, and she said it's people think that she's gonna do 3 to 6 months and get out early, but it's not like that when you get sentenced unless it's a. I disagree. I don't think she's gonna spend a whole year in jail, because I hear so many people who get more than that, and they do half the time and they're out. So I don't know. She doesn't think that she's going to do the whole year. She does think she's going to do the whole year in jail, but I don't think so. So I think that's all that I got for you guys. There are a couple of more things that I have in the description box, but I basically wanted to give you guys the information places that are bowing down to the rich, and how the rich want to basically want to cordon themselves off and do whatever they want to do. And it's really getting vulgar. I've done several stories. I told you guys several times about these rich people going in and buying up all of the houses and actually developing a whole community of houses to rent only, so that they can make profits off of people, because they say that there is a housing shortage. So they have come together and figured out ways to make money off of people and to make people in the United States permanent renters. When I first started doing the story, these hedge fund groups and private equity companies own 40% of the houses in the United States. 40%. And they're only renting them out. They were buying houses sight unseen over the phone. They would have people who were searching for houses, kind of like it started around the time that Dee Ramsey sold her house. It was kind of like that situation, and so that's why a lot of people, even that they get good offers to sell their house, they're keeping their houses, because even though they're getting offers to sell their houses, to get into another house is so competitive, and you have these hedge funds people going in and outbidding the single buyer, and so these people who have sold their houses have had a hard time buying another house or a better house. Of course, if you sell your house and you have equity in your house, and plus you get a good price on your house, you're going to try to move up or something. I don't know. Maybe some people want to downsize. Maybe some people want to build. Some people go to the South and they find out that they can't get houses. They were buying up houses all in North Carolina, South Carolina, just all over the United States. So people who are selling their houses sometimes are having a hard time getting back into a house. So, they're trying to change a lot of things in America. So I've been talking about this a long time. So I'm just sharing information and showing you the lengths that they will go to fuck over the everyday man, and while Chuck Schumer is trying to advance this continuing resolution that will have a vote on the budget that would include more tax cuts for the rich. So let's see what happens. Let's see how the Democrats are going to vote on this closure that would send the bill to send the Senate continuing resolution to a vote, which includes things that they cannot interfere with any of these tariffs that Trump is going back and forth with, which is ruining our economy. And once the economy is ruined, desperate times call for desperate measures. So are these desperate times intentional? I don't know. It appears so. Who put a $200? I think the EU has put a 200% tariff on their champagnes and wines and stuff, and 45, 47 is acting like, oh, how dare they do this? They're doing it because you did it to them first. What is this? Oh, did you guys hear about 45, 47's former spiritual advisor, Robert Morris, has been indicted for the rape of a 12-year-old girl? Did you guys hear about that as well? Who else would be 45, 47 former spiritual advisor than who else could it have been? That was his former spiritual advisor. I knew there was something else I wanted to show you guys. There it is. There it is. Yes. I think they would call that also the P word as well. 12 years old. I think that applies as well. I think that would apply. Don't you? So let me make sure. Let me make sure there is nothing else I am going to be mad that I didn't share with you guys. I have a couple of things. Birds of a feather flock together. You are right. Okay. Hell no. Self-inflicted wounds. Secret City. Oh! Okay. I told you that the biggest contributor to the Muskrats getting all these contracts and stuff is none other than the Defense Department. So now he has not gone to the Defense Department to weed out waste, fraud, and abuse. And we see that he's very abusive in his own corporations. Just spewing shit all over the place and still getting contract. The things that he says he's going to do, he doesn't do, and think that our world should be his testing ground. And if it blows up, oh well. So I do want you guys to see this. I would be upset if I did not play this. Let me play this for you guys. More information. So the Defense Department, the Pentagon, the Defense Department is where he gets most of his funding. Let me remove this. Let me remove this so you guys can see this. So I've talked to you about how he audited the Pentagon. Here's the waste. Here's where the race really is. So let's see. The Pentagon has not been able to pass a budget. So let's see how come he's not going over there to find waste, fraud, and abuse. Is there any waste, fraud, and abuse going on there that he should know about? Somebody tell him to watch this.
Fraud, waste, and abuse. It's everywhere.
Hold on.
No.
Hold on. I got it too fast. Somebody please tell him to go over there if he's looking to find some real waste, fraud, and abuse. It's on a massive level over here at the Pentagon.
There is so much fraud, waste, and abuse. It's everywhere.
No agency in the federal government wastes money like the Department of Defense.
The DoD has never successfully passed an audit.
Come on, never?
Never.
There we go.
The stuff that they lose in the couch cushions is like $20-30 billion a year. They don't know where it went.
Okay, but you're over. Now you're saying he's saying this himself, but he hasn't gone over there to find it, and this is his job. But we're still using him. We still think that he's the one to find waste, fraud, and abuse. But we know he's a big liar. But he has consciousness of this. So let's see if he's exaggerating this. I don't think he is.
It's gone.
In my world.
So he's laughing, but he hasn't gone over there. See, that was before 47 was elected. Let me see how old. Let me see what year this video came out. This is at a More Perfect Union. I think 3 of the videos I showed today were from More Perfect Union. You should go over there and check them out because they do a comprehensive work. When did this come out? Oh, it just came out 13 hours ago. I'm just gonna play you guys a little bit, and you guys can finish it on your own. Let's talk about waste, fraud, and abuse that he's not looking for.
If I give you $1 billion and you can't tell me what happened to it, that's waste.
How is that waste?
President Trump, along with Elon Musk and his team at Doge, have their sights set on reining in waste at the Pentagon.
Check the military. We're going to find hundreds of billions of dollars of fraud and abuse.
But so far, this is what Doge has to show for its efforts.
We believe that these initial findings will probably save $80 million in wasteful.
No, it wasn't Myrtle Beach. It was Hilton Head.
Spending a grand total of less than 0.01% of the total defense budget. So what exactly is the Pentagon doing with $900 billion? We spoke to people who audited the Defense Department.
We have real estate that they can't account for. Real estate. I mean, this is a piece of land.
An insider at a major defense contractor.
All my effort is really just flowing taxpayer monies up into these billionaires in charge of the whole thing.
And military spending experts to find out where the real waste and abuse is in our defense budget. What they reveal is that the biggest source of waste is hiding in plain sight, and it could get even worse.
We want the biggest, most badass military on the planet.
Almost every audit I did was very obviously a wasteful project in one way or another.
Paul Kennedy worked as an auditor for the Department of Defense Inspector General's Office, an agency tasked with preventing waste, fraud, abuse, and mismanagement. One of the programs he audited was the F-35, the most expensive weapon system in history with a total lifetime cost of over $2 trillion.
We were trying to see if they were managing this spare parts program, the best they can and saving money whenever they can.
But what they found was often the opposite.
This is a report on the F-35 repair parts process.
Paul's report revealed that $34.5 million worth of spare parts were thrown out without approval.
We didn't watch it get destroyed. We don't know that it was actually destroyed. We don't even know that that was bad. We just simply know that there's a part here that you say was beyond economical repair and you got rid of it. That would be like borrowing my car and selling the radio out of it because it didn't work anymore. No, you need my permission to do that.
Between 2018 and 2023, over 1 million spare parts for the F-35 worth over $85 million were lost, damaged, or destroyed, according to a GAO report. So how exactly does the government get away with so much waste? Well, it's not the government doing it. The F-35 is made by Lockheed Martin, a multi-billion-dollar company and the U.S.'s biggest defense contractor.
Going back to the Revolutionary War, essentially, there have always been military contractors. One of the things that happens with defense contracting more than any other contracting with the federal government is something called a cost type contract.
So isn't Musk considered a contractor when he get his corporate welfare from the Department of Defense? So could he also be a culprit of a whole lot of waste, fraud, and abuse? So we see that Lockheed Martin threw away parts that were worth $85 million. So what is the muskrat doing? He sure ain't cleaning up the waste from them failed rocket launches and semen and dead animals and fried eggs. He's not doing any of that. So I wonder why he hasn't gone to the Department of Defense to look for waste, fraud, and abuse. Could it be that he is a part of the waste, fraud, and abuse? And he wants to continue to get contracts to blow up rockets. And if they blow up, he gets data. And oh, well. It can easily be, oh, well, when you continue to fail because a stupid United States is going to continue to grant you more welfare, more corporate welfare. You can have that attitude. Let's talk about the real. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about the real shit that's going on, the real problems, while they're talking about closing down the Department of Education and not allowing putting it up to the states whether they want to support disabled children the ability to go to school or not. Closing down free lunches for poor and disenfranchised students. Let's are we going to talk about waste, fraud, and abuse? Oh, there are two different cities in South Carolina. I've never been to North or South Carolina. That's why I was asking. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so let's continue.
Contract. The contractor is reimbursed for any what they call reasonable cost plus some kind of profit.
So if the government wants to build a new military aircraft like the F-35, it will pay a private company to design and manufacture it. and all the costs that go along with the project.
They then have no incentive to reduce costs because they know they're going to be reimbursed. And then on top of that, there's a profit built in that the government will pay.
Since 2001, government spending on private military contractors has tripled, despite evidence that contractors aren't always using taxpayer dollars wisely. To find out exactly what companies are doing with this money, we talked to someone on the inside.
And I work at a major U.S. defense contractor. These defense contractors, they're there to make a profit, bottom line.
The defense industry is controlled by 5 main companies, siphoning billions of dollars from the government every year. These companies regularly outperform the S&P 500 and have profit margins between 9 and 20%.
Now that doesn't seem like a lot when you're just looking at it percentage-wise, but when you're talking about billions of dollars, that is a ton of money.
And for big projects, the government isn't paying these margins for just one company.
Prime contractors, they want their 9 to 20% of the contract, and underneath them, the sub wants 9 to 20%, and then it goes on and down below. And so you have this compounding effect. Some contractors literally are just integrators of subcontractors. A lot of times they don't do fucking shit. They just put the thing together when they're done. Say, here you go, now give me my 20%.
Jeff estimates that when you add it all up, roughly 30% of the total cost of the project is just profit for contractors and subcontractors. That would mean that just last year, almost $134 billion of government funding was just profit for private companies. So how is it that these companies can get away with spending so much of the government's money?
These contractors have a lot of power over the contracts because they're the only ones that can do it.
General Dynamics are the only company that produces the Abrams tank. When the US military wants to buy more Abrams tanks, they don't have to compete that contract. They always give it to General Dynamics. They are the only one. General Dynamics would have no incentive to reduce or contain the cost of the Abrams tank if there's no one competing for that contract.
But contractors didn't always have so much power over the government. Back in the 80s, there were dozens of companies that would compete for defense projects. But in the 90s, the Clinton administration cut defense spending and facilitated a wave of mergers until there were just 5 major players. They argued this would make the industry more efficient, and that outsourcing more work to contractors would save the government money.
We got some good people coming out, some really good people.
But instead, the top 5 contractors took advantage of their monopoly power.
The big shift that has happened is that contractors are now providing.
Don't all monopolies take advantage of them being the only ones? That's what monopolies do. That's why it is not good to have any monopolies. Look at Walmart and the small stores that have gone out of business. Okay, so if you guys want to watch the remainder of that, it's in my description box. So I hope you guys enjoyed the show, Clean House. Thank you for being here. And thank you all for joining me on today. And I hope you have birds of a feather flock together. I had to highlight that. I hope you guys enjoyed the show. And I may not see you in the YouTube streets. Thank you, Mary Carey, for being here. Thank you for Candy Cane. And I appreciate you all for being here. And I hope you have a great remainder of your